Welcome to Expanded Understanding, episode 22. Don't let the title deceive you. That's just my human errors. It's actually episode 22, and Aaron will be with us in a little while. I am Zach. I am a focus optimizer for high performance humans. And you guys are all those things. You are all high performance humans. And we got a word of the day for you today. We have, we're going to watch the video that we said we were going to watch yesterday and never watched, even though we had it up at the very beginning of it. We got some other videos that we might touch on as well. I would love to hear what's happening with all of your guys' days and how everything is going for you. Today has been pretty dang good for me. There's been some, I don't know, just learning about myself and, getting stuff in line with the other people in kind of my closer community to ensure that we're in the position that we want to be and moving in the directions that we want to be going in, and everything is looking good with that. So I'm very excited about that. Quickly want to say hi to Willow and Charlotte and Really, and I'm sure Aaron's around somewhere soon. So yeah, standard things. If you are watching this video on a replay, please like and subscribe to the video. If you're watching right now, please make sure to like the video. It definitely does help. We have all kinds of community events that are going on all the time, and if you look beneath the video in the description, after I knock my stuff all over the place, it's down there where my camera just fell. If you look down there in the description, you will see a link to all of our social media profiles and everything like that, and ways that you can help out the community and work together with us and get more integrated with us. We do like weekly yoga, group meditations, obviously this podcast every night. We're going to be having other shows that are going to be on here. We got a lot of cool guests that are getting lined up for the very near future about stuff like indigenous tribes, astrology, all kinds of various stuff. The list goes on and on. And yeah. So how are you all doing today? Everybody that is here live, please let me know in the chat. I would love to hear how you're doing. And so today, I picked the word of the day because it's an important word to me. And that word is eschaton. I use this word a lot, and this word is really, really closely associated to the work of John Dee and Edward Kelly. That's where it was really like popularized an awful lot, despite this saying that the origin is 1930s from Greek eschaton. That is not accurate, actually, at all. It is quite earlier Greek for the same word. I don't know why they say 1930s here, because this book was used in English literature, or this word was used in English literature way back in like the 1600s. So it's not, definitely wasn't in the 1930s. But that's quite all right. The definition here is accurate. And the definition left here is the final event in the divine plan, oftentimes considered the end of the world, but more in like the apocalypse sense of the end of the world, which is really just a lifting of a veil or opening up to a new kind of world. The end of the world, like, I mean, if you stopped smoking cigarettes yesterday, and that was an end of the world as you knew it. Functionally, what we're talking about with the eschaton is it's a point in the future, which is functionally, it's insinuating that there has been some change. Oftentimes also in the concept of eschatology, which is the study of eschatons, we look at the possibility of purposely placing those things in the future, or how basically a person's normal plans for their life, working from the sense of saying like, I want to be a basketball player in the NBA. We basically set an eschaton for ourselves with that. That is this goal that we're trying to reach in the future, and then the effectiveness of our steps between our current position and that eschaton determine how accurately that eschaton is reached. Functionally, if one could plan an eschaton and plan all the steps to it, then it would be just really just a logical process of doing step 1, step 2, step 3, and eventually you would end up there. And in certain ways, we have these lower scale eschatons in our life all the time. If, for instance, right now you wanted to go to the bathroom, you would make a plan to go to the bathroom, and basically you would enact just a completely autonomous, probably in your own house, process where you carried out this logical procedural process of getting to the bathroom to make that eschaton become a reality. And upon sitting there going to the bathroom, you would realize that you had functionally made your dreams reality, even though in this case your dreams were not very big. They were simply to go to the bathroom. Going to the bathroom in that case was an eschaton, and the study of the process between now and when you actually get to the bathroom or the study of the concept of getting to the bathroom because you wanted to get to it now would be the study of eschatology. So eschaton is basically our ability when we talk about the power of manifestation, law of attraction, goal setting, anything like a plan from source, your mission on earth, your tasking as some type of extraterrestrial, whatever it is that you say with that, what you're really referencing is an eschaton in the future. Now that eschaton might be abstract. You might not know exactly what that thing looks like. You might just know that my eschaton is to help the world, right? And that's totally fine. Just realize that if you have a very vague eschaton, it's going to be very difficult to actually place the specific steps in between here and there. But if you have a vague eschaton, you're not really looking for accuracy anyways. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been vague with your definition. So nevertheless, eschaton, very interesting word when you're trying to talk about your future and the idea of purposely projecting yourself into the future in any capacity, which I think we're all doing on some level. In the concept of focus optimization, I work with a lot of different people, and like, I mean, it's been my whole life for myself. Really, the idea is kind of narrowing what the scope is of what you're trying to do, be it in the next moment or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, and make sure that you're following the steps that lead directly to that in the most efficient way. Through focusing all of our resources towards one thing, we find that we reach it much quicker. I'm sure you can understand this. If you have a glass and you're filling it up with water from the sink, if you only fill it up with water for 1 second and then stop for 10 seconds and then 1 second and stop for 10 seconds, the glass gets filled up significantly slower than if you just place it underneath underneath the faucet until it is completely filled. This basically is a metaphor for the function of our focus and the use of our resources, be they time, energy, money, whatever. When you're scattered around and you're focused on things that aren't in line with your eschaton, then you end up in a situation where functionally the time that you're using is wasted in relativity to the eschaton that you're trying to reach. This can be fine sometimes. It's fine to just like have a good time or whatever, but recognize with proper planning of your focus and proper planning of your eschaton, and actually this proper process of reaching something like that, if you just work all the time, that's not really actually going to work for you if it's a long-term goal that's going to take you, say, like the next 20 years to accomplish. So in that, you need a balance of kind of work and play. And if you have this kind of, we could use the Sanskrit word sadhana, where it's a devotion that we have for our entire life. If you're devoted to this eschaton, then in a certain way, a part of your sadhana has to be to take a break, to ensure that in the time that you're not taking a break, you're operating at max effectiveness. And so in this way, focus is really just about making sure that we're piercing through to the future and seeing clearly what the steps are between now and our goal. There's a lot of ways to approach this and a lot of ways to help yourself focus in the moment or focus in the long run. But functionally, all we're trying to do is make sure that we're navigating to the future that we want to see for ourselves or for the people around us. And at the core level of that, really, focus is all about, that's what it's all about. Whether we're focusing our energy through, like we'll see later in the video by Gregg, Braden, feeling is prayer, whether it's by making sure that you maintain the feeling of where you want to be, or you're actively doing some kind of prayer inside of your head or a ritual, or it's just a very logical plan where it's like, you know, next thing I need to do is get a promotion at my job, and then I need to do this other thing, right? Like it's very logical like that. Regardless of that, either way, what we're really doing is focusing resources in the format of our energy or the expenditure of our time into this thing. And the more effectively that we do that, the more effectively that we reach it. So by focusing in exactly what we want from the eschaton, what we really want, not what exactly everything needs to be about it, but the parts that are important, and ensuring that our focus stays on those, we can ensure that in every step we are taking a step that leads us closer and closer to that goal. So that's really the concept of well, focus and how it applies to eschatons, and how functionally the using eschatons purposely is the same thing as the basically Vedic yogic practice of having a sadhana, which is really core to all yoga. Despite Western popular belief, yoga is not really just a thing that you do at an exercise class. Yoga is something that is your entire life. And if your true yoga, which of which there are many, such as bhakti yoga or raja yoga, these have a core devotion inside of them that is the complete thing that focuses towards in every single thing that it does in its life. For instance, bhakti yoga is devotion yoga. So functionally, bhakti yoga, which is generally practiced with love or compassion or coherence, something along those lines, you do every action with the goal in mind of being the most pure expression that you could possibly be of whatever that devotion was. So, for instance, love, right? You be the most loving person that you can and learn the most that you can about love in every situation. And then you could functionally say that your yogic sadhana is that of love. But functionally, what you're practicing is what would be delineated as bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion. Whereas with Raja Yoga, for instance, Raja Yoga is functionally understood as rationalizing through logical processes the understanding of God or the universe or reality as a whole. And so through Raja Yoga, what we functionally, the sadhana of Raja Yoga is to constantly have an effective logical process of how you're basically scientifically breaking down what's happening in reality through observation and or experiment, and getting your way to a place where you feel that you have a logical understanding of what God is, and that basically gets you in touch with God by understanding what God really is. So you see in both these places, they both function with a sadhana. However, their devotions are very different. Their sadhana is very different. And bhakti yoga in a certain way is kind of liberal with that, in that it's really just more about devotion. Although, like I said, it's primarily practiced as this practice of love. So nevertheless, eschaton's, sadhanas, focus, they all really fall into each other. And the reason why I picked this word today is because it really is important at a time of confusion or at really any point in time in our life that we are really focusing on what we want to create in the future. And there's multiple different ways to do that. Oftentimes inside of spirituality, we're constantly talking about removing contract revocation from past lives, or reconciling our past lives, dealing with our shadow, dealing with psychological trauma, transgenerational trauma, all these kinds of things. These are past facing focuses. They look into the past and they try to figure out what is restricting us from that place. Simultaneously with that push from the past, we are functionally also being pulled to the future by whatever it is that we're trying to become. And so because of that, we can utilize this forward facing, relative to the other one, forward facing format of looking at our life to basically get a whole additional life's worth of information if we were to, and on the other side of things, be completely past focused. So really, in the best case scenario, it's good to keep mind of both of these and understand that you're functionally at the center of it, being pushed by what you understand to be basically your memory, and being pulled by basically what you understand to be an eschaton. There's many ways that you can adjust an eschaton or your memory, or the path between what you would call your memory and the present, or what you would call your present and the eschaton. And functionally, all of these studies are studies of focusing towards a specific thing, or ensuring that something is focused properly so that it works towards your current choice of focus. So nevertheless, that was a significantly longer explanation than I planned to give. Aaron is now here. We're going to bring him in. Hi, Aaron. You're inside of your truck again.
I am. It's kind of my favorite place. And I'm actually in front of I'm in a parking lot of a grocery store here in high school. Everybody used to go on Friday nights, and everybody's figuring out where the parties are at or whatever. So if you grew up in Shoreline, went to Shorewood High School, I am in the QFC parking lot, Richmond Beach. That's where I am tonight.
Very good. Very,
I was
very good.
letting you go. I was in the live chat. I was backstage for a little bit, and then I was listening. But yeah, man, you rock that shit so well. I was just letting you roll. It's good shit.
Yeah, that happened. I don't know. Anyways,
it did, man. It happened well. Good job. That was great.
I would also like to point out, because of this comment right here, that Maya said that she did some recording today. She has like an incredible voice. Like it's incredible. She doesn't sing in like your standard words. She channels light codes, but she doesn't do them really in the standard way that you usually hear them. Actually, they're awesome. In a what I would consider a much more melodic, and I would say actually sounds a lot more angelic than the way that people normally would do what they call light codes in this normal time. And from speaking with Maya, she told me that they like some person that she worked with actually like said that to their understanding that these were like really the original codes, and kind of the things that are being used now, maybe some a little different. Nevertheless, very wonderful voice. Very lucky to have her in the community. We will be sharing some of her music here and there. I have links to YouTube and stuff. I don't have them up right now. Nevertheless, we'll have some of her music in the future as Zach progressively gets his shit together more, or coagulates his feces. And
so I understand that too. You said light codes, but light language, or singing light language. There's another way to say that too, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah,
Same
I've been
thing.
doing that for my own on my years. It's cool to for years on my own, just in my own ways and doing things. So it's cool to find other people are doing it in a way they're actually putting it out there, and yeah, it's beautiful. That's
We could
very cool to
actually, I
hear.
can probably, who knows how the audio quality will be. Hopefully it's good enough, but it's just on YouTube anyways. I'm
While you're
gonna,
pulling up, I'll do my spiel on eschaton because the way you
okay.
said it, or the aspect within the church. I mean, obviously everything you said is fills out a whole bunch of other aspects of it. So I guess a minor aspect on that would be, well, within a church, it's a big one, but it's just eschatology, right? Which you said the final event and divine plan, the end of the world. So the study of the end of the time, or the end of the end plan, or and so there's like primary eschatologies within the Christian church, and that's where you get them thinking Jesus is going to come back on a cloud, or Jesus already came back, or there's like three pretty main eschatologies they believe if you interpret the Bible correctly. So we and functionally are creating our own eschatology here because we're using the symbol sets of all the belief systems for people to connect to themselves and their own end divine plan.
Yeah, end of the world stuff. It's like
Yeah.
kind of like the tower card though in the tarot, and this whenever anybody talk about end of the world stuff in this kind of case where they don't really mean like the end of the world, they mean it's different, really. So
Like you said, if you quit smoking, yeah.
yeah,
Today is the end of
exactly.
the world.
Yeah, it's funny because people hear stuff like that and then it really gets made so big so fast. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just
Oh
that
yeah.
concept or just the concept of death. Like, I mean, I personally feel that I've experienced many what you could call micro deaths, and in a certain way you could call it like basically that sleep is a micro death. So in many ways, like, we experience deaths a lot through our life that are deaths of just ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, technically you could argue that like a graduation from high school is a death of your high school self, because you can't get reaccepted into high school now. Like, that's not going to happen. You can't go be a high schooler again. You're done. You know what I mean? So
Right.
technically the high school version of yourself is now functionally dead. You're fine with that because you're graduating to be in college or whatever it is that you're doing
Yeah.
after that. You know? So
Well, it's funny.
if
Jordan Peterson talks about really eloquently. I mean, different times. This one of the things I wrote down from him at some point in one of his videos. But he talks about ego death or death, and they were always better off to choose to face those ego deaths than waiting for them to find us. Because when you choose it, you're entering into that state of turmoil or death or loss or whatever, but you're entering it in consciously and by your own choice, and you're a lot more prepared that way to do it instead of just avoiding, and it overtakes you.
right. Yeah, this is like a concept that I have that I don't know, I guess I don't air this one out too much, but the concept of dying before you die in the process of
Totally.
like meditation and death, and it like really if you so well, we live in like a dualistic system. If you choose your creations, then functionally the universe chooses your destructions. It tells you what you can't have in order to have that, and it will remove
Mm.
those things from your life. If you purposefully choose your destructions, then you allow the universe to just go ahead and choose your creations. The interesting kicker about this is that the universe is technically capable of creating things for you that you could not imagine. So technically, it's better to
Mm.
allow yourself to have the universe flow into the creation by way of purposely choosing the thing that you're willing to kind of get rid of for it. And I mean, touchy subject here, but this is the core basis of sacrificial magic, is that you choose to get rid of this thing and allow the gods to bring what you need, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying go sacrifice other people by any stretch of the imagination. I'm more a fan of sacrificing myself and formats of myself, like my good old friend, my ego, right? Like, your ego is not your amigo, maybe by default, but once you start learning how to basically take a format of your ego, sacrifice it away so that you can be instilled with a new understanding of yourself that might allow your life to actually work better, all of a sudden your ego is kind of your friend, because it's your buddy that hangs out with you all the time that you can sacrifice away to the gods and no one cares later. So it's actually, can be kind of can become your friend, but if you think about it that way. But in many ways, the whole meditation on death, which if you believe that you are alive, then you are believing that you are going to be dead someday. That is the natural life cycle. So it's kind of, in a certain way, you got like two givens in your life. Stuff's going to change and you're going to die, right? So meditation on change or death are very worthwhile meditations because you can fucking guarantee they're going to happen to you in some capacity. Even if we somehow figure out how to immortalize the human DNA skin suit, we will also still undergo these ego style of deaths or changes of ourselves as a person as we go through basically the seasons of growing as the beautiful
100%.
flower that we are. You know, a flower loses some petals as it comes to full bloom. It's just the reality of a situation. We honor those petals when they're out and they're in full bloom and they sculpt the outside of the architecture and they are the reason for the beauty of the flower. But when they need to move out of the way and die, we honor that death as well. And they go back and they feed the soil to ensure that the flower can live a healthy life cycle. And no one has to cry about this because we have a newly emergent flower to focus our love and our affection on. So this is always happening with yourself. You have unlimited petals. You have infinite fucking petals. So you're just going to keep blooming forever. So the death of the outside petals, it is not so important. The fact that these petals are going away and these new petals are emerging, your perception of that, of whether you're focusing most of your, to get back to focus again, if you're focusing your attention on the ones that are dying, you will probably be in a world where you're like, oh my gosh, death, it sucks. If you focus on the ones that are emerging, you'll be like, oh my gosh, exciting, look at these new things coming about. And that really, like, that simple thing, that little turn of your perspective can literally be the choice between life and death. Because it's literally the choice between life and death. Like, you know, you can live a whole life without ever actually living if you focus on your death the whole time. So.
No, true, fair enough. So how would you, well, okay, we could parse a lot of things and talk for a long time, but we should probably progress into the video and then start there, and then we can chat about whatever.
Okay, first and foremost, we're going to hear a 2-minute and 30-second video that is our community member, Maya, singing. If I can, oh wait, hang on, I didn't open it in the right browser. Just 2 seconds. Technical difficulties, intellectual technical difficulties. Zach's doing it wrong. In other words, just 1 second.
No problem.
Well, more than 1 second.
We got space on the show to do it wrong. That's fine.
What are you doing? I have one browser that's running like old Facebook and one browser that's running new Facebook, and they look completely different. It's strange, must say.
Do they have a dark mode on the PC for Facebook?
On new Facebook.
Nice. Yeah, it's very annoying when apps only do the dark mode and it's at night and it's just blinding your soul, bright blue light from the screen.
You don't like having that blue light just blinding your face?
Dude, no, blue light keeps you awake, man. It stimulates the pituitary and the pineal, and you don't actually get the hormones you need to actually go into rest correctly. Unless, I mean, you can, obviously you and maybe some other people are more trained to go into rest regardless.
I got blue light filters on everything on the fucking planet. Fuck blue light.
Yeah.
No way.
All right, you know what's up.
No, I leave blue light filters on all my computers, all my phones. Yep. They never get turned off ever. Very bad. So, anyways, this is an individual named Tatawati, I bet is how you say this. He's an Italian electroacoustic artist, and he's playing inside of this, and Maya is singing with him. This is just an improvisational lullaby of light codes. Beautiful. And so we're going to check this out real quick when, yep, it's over here, and we need to share the audio, and we click that, and Facebook. And I'm going to mute us, and then we're going to hear this. And like I said in chat, I would love to get some acapellas because I do like a lot of sound looping and stuff, and I would really love to sample and play with your voice and like a sound editor. Does that
Ooh,
sound
yeah.
weird? Is that like
No,
a weird
no,
thing to say to
because
somebody?
well, if it's weird, I fully, wholeheartedly agree with your desire to do that. I endorse that, and I think that would be awesome, Maya. That would be really cool. There could be some incredible, amazing shit that comes out of that. 'Cause that was
I have
wonderful.
like, dude, I have like thousands of like pan drum kits and loops and all this shit. Like your voice over like a good pan drum with like a deep kick behind it, like maybe even chopped up on like I could honestly I got so many fucking ideas. You have a really good voice. It's really, 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 really good. This is
Dude,
not even mastered properly. If you don't know audio, then realize like we're not listening to like some CD quality mastering here by
no.
any stretch of the imagination. Her voice is like not, honestly not even given the space that it deserves inside of this. It's not EQ'd right. It has no filters on it. 99% of the people that you've seen in the last like your entire life had fucking auto tune on their voice, and this is much more like her voice is fucking out of this world. I've listened to a lot of voices and it's legit out of this world. So really crazy, like huge props to you, Maya. Like that's so cool. I know you probably feel like it's like an extraterrestrial gift at that quality level, but like I don't know if you've ever seen Fifth Element, but you're like Diva Plava Laguna or some shit. It's crazy.
Dude, absolutely. Like there's some interdimensionality to your voice, Maya, that's beautiful and very, very, very unique. I've heard a lot of music too, and I'm very connected to music, and that's very unique and really beautiful. Really, thank you. That's cool. It'd be cool to hear more of that. And if you're able to get some stuff to Zach, that'd be awesome.
It would be very, very, very fun to play around with. And like I mean, like I'm dealing with all kinds of weird copyright stuff. It's all from audio on this channel. And so functionally, I just want to make all my own music for this channel,
Mm,
which is pretty easy with
beautiful.
loops and such. So
Yeah.
nevertheless, like,
Well, that's
well,
great. That becomes a
having
unique
some
thing to
great
the show
vocals on it
too.
would be sick.
No doubt. Yeah, especially if we get something in for a regular show loop or something, that'd be awesome. All
Yeah.
right, the video. So okay,
She
so let
says
me
she
try.
also uses other ancient languages like Sanskrit, Hebrew,
Cool.
pulling from Native American language. I figure that's what she means by Indian next to
Mm-hmm.
Sanskrit. But
Probably, yeah.
nevertheless, yeah.
Beautiful.
Also, hi Jacob, hi Joe, hi Jasmine, hi Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you say
I think
Jacob?
that was
I
all
didn't
new
see.
ones.
Oh, there is Jacob. Hey, Jacob.
I think I
Yeah.
did say Jacob. Yeah,
So what's
I
up,
saw
Zach?
Jacob.
And what it do, A Train?
What did you A train?
Oh, I love that shit. What it do? It'd be doing this video right now. About to watch "Feeling Is Prayer." So to set this video up, if you're not familiar with Gregg Braden, him, Joe Dispenza, and it was for Bruce Lipton. That's the other. There was a little trio amigo. They became real good friends and buddies, but they all talk about similar topics. They have their own little spheres that they do
Los
stuff in.
tres amigos.
And Gregg Braden's done a book, Isaiah Effect. I think he talks about in there, but studying some of the original texts and the meanings, and then lots of his own stories. And I've shared them on the show. So this is him explaining. He's got some PowerPoint slides and stuff on here of the way he lays out the difference between thoughts and emotions, and where the feeling is in the heart, and that the feeling is the prayer. And he goes into some beautiful stories about that. And then we watch 17 minutes in or so. It's a little towards the end, but like we end up watching a video of a Chinese hospital or somewhere in Asia, where they actually remove a tumor. These three monks, like or whatever, chanting over this woman with a live ultrasound. They were removing the tumor. You watch it disappear from the ultrasound, and he explains his understanding of why that happened. So it's a very rare video. Like I've gone through shitloads of videos. This is the top 1% of videos I found that conveys a lot of context for certain concepts. And you get to fucking watch someone get healed live on an ultrasound. You can say it's fake, but judge for yourself, whatever. And think about who cares, like, well, if it's fake or not. Don't just get stuck on that fact. Think about what he's talking about what explains why that happened. Think about your own experiences. If you had that happen on a smaller
It's
level,
not
like
fake.
we're carrying over, right? It's not fake. So I'm just saying, but like really, the thought process here around that matter. Not getting stuck up on, well, I didn't see it in live. Like, it doesn't matter. Think about the thought processes that led up to that event happening, and if they actually find resonance inside of your life. That's what ultimately matters. But it is really cool.
You
It is
said they were
real, and you get to see it.
chanting at the end of it. They were chanting over them.
Yeah, he explains why.
I
He'll
love
explain
how,
it.
I love how like the random thing that we decided to bring up, which was like community members' interdimensional voice, what like
Yeah,
then leads into this video. We totally did that on purpose because the programming is so tight around here.
true.
We
Yep.
plan everything out
We're tight with
to a
spirit,
T.
yo.
Yep. And right now it is.
Planned.
We're exactly 1 hour, 1 minute, and 24 seconds into the broadcast. So now we have to start the video because that's exactly what our timeline says.
That's right.
Love you guys. I don't have no timeline for nothing. We're lucky this ever happens.
Yep. We're both at it every night. Good for us. We didn't know that was going to happen.
I just realized I should probably do you a favor
from an ancient Sanskrit
and
text.
Read
Yes.
what it says on the screen right here, because that was not enough time to read it, and probably no one can read it. So I'm going to read it for you right now. It says, Gregg Braden, feeling his prayer. Gregg has been one of my original teachers since my own trigger to where I am today. He has offered his own unique perspectives that I find very congruent with many in this time, with his very own unique expression. I have included him many, many times in my Conscious Explorer Ancient Past Present task, which I hope you find of benefit to you. Perhaps we can provide you a link to that. I don't even know what that is. This short segment is a very conclusive one that I hear from many other teachers out there and have found to be something I have developed myself. I offer it in a short segment to you. Enjoy. Here we go.
This is an image from an ancient Sanskrit text. It shows the energy centers of the body, the chakras. I know you all are familiar with chakras. They say that thought happens in the upper chakras, right here. This is thought. This is where we imagine the quantum possibility. The emotion happens in the creative center, in the lower chakras. This is emotion. And they say our emotions are only two: love and fear. Love and the opposite of love. So when we think a thought in our mind, we fuel that thought. We give our thought life through the love or the fear that we place into the thought. And when we do that, we create a feeling. And now we have a definition for feeling. Feeling is the union, the marriage of emotion and thought. What we think of a possibility and our love or our fear of that thought. Does that make sense? Is that good? This is important because we're going to use this. Does this make sense? Okay. What is the one energy center in the body that does not have the circle? What is the one center that we have not talked about here? Precisely, the heart. Feeling happens in our heart. Feeling doesn't happen in the mind. Feeling doesn't happen in the lower, well, a little bit, but not much in the lower centers. Feeling happens in our heart. Feeling and belief are connected. Feeling and belief. So in our hearts, we have hate, sadness, joy, compassion. These are feelings. These are not emotions. To have hate, sadness, joy, compassion, we must have a thought, and then the love or the fear for that thought that creates these feelings. So now we have a definition of feeling. Feeling is the union of thought and emotion. In the book, The Isaiah Effect, some of you have read who has read The Isaiah Effect? Anyone? Oh, thank you. Okay, so one of the questions that came up was, what book do we speak about the Essenes? The Isaiah Effect is one book where we speak about the ancient Essenes, Essenes, the Essene traditions. It was in the book, The Isaiah Effect, that I have a chapter that is titled Meeting with the Abbot, A-B-B-O-T, the abbot of the monastery. And this is the abbot here that we met with, this man. Isn't he a beautiful man? It's this man. I asked the question I asked so many times. Every monastery, every nunnery, every monk, every nun, every abbot. We were in 12 monasteries and 2 nunneries over 22 days. I asked the same question again and again and again. And this is the man that gave me the beautiful answer. And I asked the question, this is the question. I said, when we see your prayers on the outside, what are you doing on the inside? So when we see the chanting for 12 hours, 16 hours, 20 hours a day, when we see the mudras and hear the mantras and the bowls and the bells and the gongs and the chimes and the incense, when we see your prayers on the outside, I said, what are you doing inside? What is happening when we see you create a miracle of healing? How did you do that? And this is the power of going into a living culture like Tibet. Because if we go into a temple in Egypt, or we go to a temple in the Yucatan of Mexico, we can find knowledge, and it's interesting. However, to some degree, we guess, we speculate what that knowledge means, because we're reading an old text or a temple wall and we're guessing. But here we talk to another human. We look him in the eyes, eye to eye, heart to heart, man to man, God to God. And I can ask this man the question, how did you do that miracle? What did you do in your body to make that happen? And I'll ask him again and again and again until I understand his answer. So this is what happened. So I asked the abbot, when we see your prayers on the outside, what's happening on the inside? And his answer was this. He said, you've never seen our prayers, because a prayer cannot be seen. He said, what you see are the things that we do to create the feeling in our body. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the prayer. He's telling us right here. He's telling us in a Tibetan monastery, 17,000 feet above sea level in the Himalayan mountains, this man is telling us the secret that was lost in our Christian and Jewish traditions when the edits were taken in from the books. And they practice and they live this. Feeling is the prayer. Then he turned the question around and asked me. He said, how do you do this in your culture? And this is what happened. When we lost the texts, when we lost the words in our biblical texts that tell us that feeling is the prayer, we began to believe that the words are the prayer. That if we say the right words, the right time of day, or the right number of times, that somehow magically a prayer will happen. And when our prayer is not answered, we become frustrated and we think prayer doesn't work. The words are not the prayers. The feeling is the prayer. You're going to see this 3 times this afternoon. The feeling is the prayer. So this is what the abbot shared with us. Now, after we met with this beautiful man, and by the way, this man passed away last year. He is no longer in this world. So I'm happy that we had the time with him while he was in this world. Okay, the word that they are using, wasa, loosely translated, means already happened. It's already done. In their mind and in their heart, they're coming from the place that the healing has already happened. Not that it's going to happen, and not that it's about to happen, or that it's a long, slow happening, that it has already happened. And this is important, because the field of energy that we are about to discuss is a mirror. A mirror, it reflects our feeling of what we are experiencing in the moment. So if our belief is that our healing is about to happen, or that our perfect relationship will come to us someday, or that our abundance in the bank will happen someday, the field will keep reflecting someday, 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 because it is open-ended. There is no outcome. There is no conclusion. This is a very subtle, very powerful understanding of how this field works. This field that we're about to discuss now, the divine matrix, is a field that mirrors now, not in the future, not in the past, this moment. So what we choose to experience in our lives, we must first feel in our hearts as if it has already happened. And I'm saying these words now, and you'll see this in the monasteries after lunch, and you'll see this in the application of the native and indigenous and aboriginal technologies. This is how they create rain. This is how they create healing. But it's only a miracle until we understand the science. Then it's no longer a miracle, it becomes a technology, a powerful internal technology. So this film was created in a medicineless hospital in Beijing, China. Medicineless hospital, no medicine hospital. I like that hospital. This film shows a woman who has been diagnosed with a cancer in her bladder, a 3-inch diameter cancer in her bladder. And Western doctors say they can do nothing. They say, we can't help you. So she has gone to a clinic in China where they think differently, and they apply the technology from the ancient wisdom that is the same as the science that we just saw. So what you will see is this. There are 3 practitioners, 3 people trained to feel just the right feeling, the precise, correct feeling in their hearts. They create the feeling as if the woman is already healed. They create the feeling as if the woman is already healed. Now, we will look inside of her body through a sonogram, through ultrasound. We can look into her body and we can watch her cancer disappear in 3 minutes in the presence of the language that heals. Does that make sense? Are you okay with that? Does that make sense? Would you like to see that? Okay, good. So what you will see is the woman is awake. She is conscious. She has no anesthetic. She believes in the process. She believes in what is happening. And there are 3 practitioners who are trained to create the feeling in their bodies as if the woman is already healed. And then on the computer screen, we will see 2 images. One image is before the healing, and one image is actual time, real time, so we can see the healing happen. And while the healing is happening, you will hear the practitioners chant a word. And I want you to know there is no magic in the word. It could be any word. But this word is the word that they have chosen that reinforces for them, that tells them the feeling. So they agreed that this is the word that would create the feeling for them. But it could be any word. I want you to know that. So I'm explaining this now, and we'll explain it again as we go through the film.
Over 8 years, the center has successfully treated more than 180 types of illnesses, including bladder cancer.
看到没有？就是在这个膀胱，三角球的左侧，有和一个压糊，这么一个。发气，各位老师，咱们一块用力量发气。对。人就想一下子到底算什么？
Compassion is this force. So the ancient instructions, how do we do this? The instructions are very precise. In the Buddhist traditions and what we're finding in Tibet, number one, they're saying that to create the healing, to create the peace, to create the miracles, first, we must feel as if the miracles have already happened without judgment, without ego. And that's hard for the Western mind. So first we must do this, to feel as if Our prayers have already been answered without judgment, without ego.
All right. Well, something definitely happened on that ultrasound. That's for sure. I was going to go ahead and read this for everybody so we can hear the thing that it says right at the end of it, which is, I invite you to explore my multi-part series, Conscious Explorer, Ancient, Past, Present, Task, including many perspectives in a cross-reference style of confirmations. It is hoped to accelerate the learning, but also to reveal the efforts required to prevent our truths returning. I offer it to provide maximum randomness for those seekers, the conscious explorers out there, a whole range of wonderful teachers we are fortunate enough to have at our fingertips today. I also give thanks and honor to our ancestors who have suffered immensely to provide us with this potential we have found ourselves within at present. So, thanks to the ancestors, all those that came before us, you cannot possibly see higher without standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before you. So thank you to all of them,
100%.
and to my future self. Thank you for placing me here now so that you could stand on my shoulders and become who you are. I appreciate that. What do you guys think happened there in the chat? Tell me. On the ultrasound. So this disappears. Yeah? Fake? Real? What's really going on? I know the feeling thing for sure, as far as like, let's call it my own personal practices. And this is really the key. You talk a lot of times about how like you can't really feel something you haven't felt before, right?
Yep.
And really, like in a certain way, the way that we feel about something in the moment is just another way of explaining like how, whatever you could call it our psychology, you could call it our emotions, whatever, the way that we are experiencing our reality in any moment. So if we really already shift our energetic state, our emotions, our feelings, to a place where we truly are feeling the place where that has happened, I mean, that seems a lot more likely to be able to create a response than living in some position or trying to act from a position where you're being very skeptical about the possibility of that reality even emerging, yeah?
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, this whole dynamic. So part of it, like, it's the same message that's been conveyed a lot of different ways. It's like a lot of things. Like, messages can get conveyed eventually that they're just played out, or they have a cultural connotation to them that makes them not have value or meaning. So like, you know, just feel like your future's already happened and then it'll manifest. Like there's a way that's pitched or that people I think get wind of that paradigm that's very off-putting because it doesn't seem to have substance, right? But when you put it in when you put it in a context like this, it makes a lot more sense. You know, like there's something valid to this feeling something. People think, I mean, I don't think this way anymore, but I used to and run into people or whatever. But like feelings don't matter. It's the thoughts or how you handle them or whatever. But the feelings themselves don't matter. You know, it's what you do, the prayer, the ritual, you say it right, you do whatever. And we know through cadence and intonation, certainly there are things you can do correctly that activate certain other unseen dynamics. But if you're not connecting your feeling, I mean, that's the placebo belief engine, right? We are that, the feeling more than the emotion. But the emotion can be really powerful, but that's just operating from to me base lower chakras, if you will, or levels of consciousness. And so when you can elevate those and balance them all in the heart, I mean, it's a great way to lay out a symbol set. If we're going to call it that, I think that's a great way to do it.
Sure. I think that's definitely no. As Jasmine's saying here, you can make yourself sick just as much as you can make yourself better. Hypochondria, for example. Yeah, I totally, you know, this seems to be true. And it really seems to be that it's just a case of like our reality ends up sculpting out of what we believe it's going to be. At least maybe not exactly what we believe it's going to be on a conscious level, but I think that's probably just overlooking subconscious or unconscious dynamics that are also at play. Like if you think about having the concept of like three minds, right? Like the subconscious, unconscious, conscious, then functionally like there's not, well, unless you have some other kind of outside data, there's no reason to believe that those have any more than like 33% play on the inevitable outcome if thought creates reality, right? Because the unconscious, subconscious are functioning, you may not be aware of them, and they would play just as much role as the conscious thought, I would think.
enough. I mean, yeah, if we want to give it real numbers, according to that quantum mind poster I actually have behind me in my place, and then the Bruce Lipton stuff, that are 5% of our thoughts, or like thoughts or processes that we have every day, or only 5% of them are conscious. The rest are sub or unconscious or whatever. So there's a lot more actually going on. That's why it takes so long. That's why proper NLP or proper hypnotherapy and stuff, you can get like 600 times more accomplished in one session than you can by doing repetitive mantras and stuff, just trying to ingrain it into your conscious mind. But did you have never heard that before? How disproportionate they are in our actual like thoughts and in awareness every day?
How disproportionate the certain different layers of the mind are?
No. Yeah, that only 5% of our thoughts are actually conscious, if you will.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, like that. I mean, numbers around this thing, like how can you even really say like 5%? If you're saying like 5% of our thoughts are even conscious, like how do you really know that, right? You're not even conscious of the other ones. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's the measurement?
Yeah, no. So maybe we'll find some point of video on or something, because it's something Gregg, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, all of them talk about all the time. So I mean, and I've seen it before. I just can't think of some off the head, like the science on it or what they did, scanning the brain 24/7 and figuring out what's conscious, what's not, what they're filtering out, or parts of the brain to activate based on what they look at, so they can see what they're taking into their awareness and data and activity, but not necessarily in their conscious mind. You know, like then they test them, what color was the chair, all the details, see what they actually remembered in those moments, what kind of movement was going through the brain, all that kind of shit. You know, all that kind of fucking shit they dedicate their lives to doing. And then I watch one cool video and I'm like, yep, get it. Thanks for doing all the work.
Yeah.
Really, man. Dude, think about that. I'm so thankful we were born in the time we were, because what I've grazed, like for what I've been able to glean, we'll put it that way. So like, well, no, because it's not leftovers, but in a sense. So like in fields, like when you glean, I think I'm trying to remember if I may butcher this, but the principle is you leave a portion left over for the poor. Sometimes that's, 10% or, an additional portion of the crop that you glean or you cut and then leave, or you, for to be plucked by those who are in need or those of the poor or some shit. And so, or for others, passerbys, all that stuff, wandering travelers, kind of thing. So I feel like, man, yeah, well, like, yeah, in need of something, in need of food or information or whatever, something, right? And I feel like the growing up in the age that we have, being able to find people on YouTube, incredible people, just human beings, even Joe Dispenza, Gregg, but even just nuanced ones, maybe no one will ever hear about, but I found them, and they're just a small hole in the wall on YouTube. Like, wow, like the stuff there, the things or the thought processes or the things they've already done or the work. Go ahead. You're muted.
My bad. We're about to watch one of those videos in a second. It has less than 8,000 views.
Oh, nice. Right on. Okay, do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. I can bring it up right now.
Yeah.
You know the guy. He is none other than the author of My Big Toe. Toe is an acronym for Theory of Everything.
Cool.
This individual's name is Tom Campbell. Tom Campbell was a long-time, we'll call it student of the Monroe Institute that reached excessively high focus levels and knows basically everything about the process. When the process expanded beyond just really like Robert Monroe doing his own stuff, Tom Campbell was one of the first two dudes that was in there working with Robert Monroe, and actually like left his previous station and everything to come and completely focus on the Monroe Institute instead, because he was so intrigued by what they were doing there, and really played a super active role in really the development of the whole of the Monroe technology. There's a lot of videos of him on YouTube, but he's not one of the people that is normally talked about too much. He don't really worry about marketing himself too much or anything like that, although he does do like some public speaking and stuff. He's certainly not like any of these other kind of big name people.
Yeah.
My dog is like going nuts. If you can hear a dog collar shaking constantly, it's because my dog is just losing it. So in this video, what he's going to talk about, because we're kind of talking about how that feeling is prayer, and we all do want to do something beneficial for the world. In this video, as it says here in the description, Tom Campbell discusses how we are connected through consciousness and how we can use this network of connection to help others through love and caring. The effect of what he calls the outpouring of love and caring can sometimes be more powerful than healing intent directed just towards the problem, because of the group effort usually in place, and because of the importance of healing the outlook or attitude of those who need help through positive intents. It is one of one thing we can do to counteract the negativity around us and uplift those who need a positive boost. Since we already have a community of individuals right here, and we all are pretty aligned through the talking that we've been doing around here, especially you who are here all the time, we all kind of know what we're working towards anyways, and we know what we're really interested in, and we know how we're trying to help. And basically, you could surmise this as saying that we're trying to kind of express more love on the planet, be it for ourselves or for others. And what he talks about in this is functionally really kind of just like some logic behind how we could work together to always keep that into our thoughts. And really functionally, if you understand the higher end levels of the Monroe spectrum, you would know from that we can functionally do something to actually change the world around us, increase vibration, whatever the words are that you choose to put onto that, make the world a better place through our focused intent. So we will play Mr. Campbell's video here now, and I will link it into the chat also in case anybody really likes the video and they want to fall down a YouTube rabbit hole. This is a little entryway to it. Here we go.
One of your workshops, and that's the concept of outpouring of caring and love. Now, we've talked about and done healing exercises, and we know a lot of talented healers. I've studied some modalities myself, and I've seen the results of that. But I think an even more interesting thing is this concept of outpouring. You've always mentioned how we are connected. And in cases of assisting someone in a difficult situation for a healing problem, the healing is one aspect of it, but the outpouring of caring and love seems to be a very unique concept from you that has even almost like a group effect. It is more of it is another aspect of healing that is maybe even more powerful. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We interact with each other in many ways. Our thoughts interact with the people we're thinking about. Their thoughts interact with us. Unless we've turned that particular link off and refusing that data, these thoughts, we're trading thoughts in the non-physical all the time. This is not body language. This is consciousness to consciousness. We're on a network, and it's all netted. And let's say there's somebody who's a friend of yours, or maybe they're a brother or sister or parent, or a dear friend from a long time ago, or just the neighbor next door. But it's people that are current in your life, and you think about them sometimes. Oh, something you'd like to tell them. Some empathy you feel for them because of a problem they're having. Some feeling of some sort that you have. So that image comes up of that person, or you think of that person, and you have that feeling, you have that thought. They get that. They don't necessarily get it at their conscious aware level, at their intellectual level, but they get it just the same, and it affects them. So we know that if you are around people who are real negative, particularly if they're negative with you, because they're actually aiming this at you, they're negative with you. Either they don't like you, or they think you're doing the wrong thing, and it goes on and on. If about all sorts of things that just aren't helpful. Well, being around those people is just a real drag. It drags you down. When you leave, you feel awful. You just don't feel about anything. Well, that's because all that negativity that's pushed at you, you take on. If you're connected with that person, and if you allow it, you can turn it off, but you have to know how. You have to have a little bit of discipline with your consciousness to do that. But most people don't. Most people are just open to the people that they associate with and whatever. So there is this communication going on. Now, when you heal somebody, in the way you're talking of healing, that's something a little different. Now you go to that person, you mentally target that person, that's the one you're thinking about. You have a very specific purpose to say, diagnose what the trouble is. You see a black spot that you've defined as the trouble, and now you're going to heal it. So then you use your tools, whatever it is, whether you shine light on it or cut it out or whatever you do. Those are just tools to help you focus your intent on changing the future probability of that illness. Is really what you're doing. All the tools are not really what's going on. It's not the light. It's not the cutting it out. It's not any of that. It's not even the black spot. All of those are metaphors. The actual active ingredient is your intent focused on modifying future probability of that illness. And the future probability being there is no illness, of healing that illness. So that's what you're doing, and you're very specific in how you're doing it. Specific person, specific illness, specific tools and methodologies, and that has a good effect because you're taking all of your energy and applying it to a very specific point, specific thing. But there's another way to heal people too. And it's also healing, but not in such a specific way. If you're just a loving, caring people and you send out really good, caring, happy, loving thoughts to people, they get that. It's just like the bad thoughts, just like the negative thoughts. The positive thoughts make people feel better. And when you leave the company of somebody who really has a lot of positive thoughts about you, you feel good. You feel up. You feel strong. You feel confident. You're still happy. Physically, you're better. Instead of dragging with your head hanging down, you're up straight and you got a bounce in your step. It makes all the difference in the world just with that energy, dealing with that. Okay. So now we have the situation where, let's say there's an individual, and that individual, their sad, unfortunate story has been publicized, and there's 10,000 people sending healing thoughts. Oh, that poor child. Oh, I just can imagine the trauma, what that child went through. And you have thousands of people who feel that way, who are really empathetic. They're not just intellectually thinking, oh, that's too bad. They really, at an emotional level, at a being level, they really are concerned and caring for that individual. That individual gets all that. And if they get it from 1,000 people or 10,000 people, that can be pretty powerful healing. All it is love. They're just getting love for people who love them, who care about them. And that can heal a lot. That generally is not so powerful in like healing that black spot, but it's even more power in healing that attitude, in healing that sense of your life. Instead of being downtrodden or depressed or at the bottom of the barrel and don't know what to do, suddenly you feel hopeful, you feel positive. Not that any of your problem went away, but the way you're looking at it now is different. You feel so much better. So that kind of general giving people love and caring does make a difference. It heals their feelings, it heals their attitude, it heals their perspective. It gives them hope. It gives them confidence. It gives them acceptance. So it's a very powerful thing. And that healing their attitude, healing the way they look at the world, sometimes is the biggest part of the problem. If you can fix that, the rest of the problems all unwind and unravel and go away on their own, often. Okay, so it's just a different approach. One is a very general application, just giving somebody love. And sometimes if somebody's ill, you can just say, well, I don't know whether that illness might be part of their path. That illness may be part of their learning. I don't quite feel right about trying to take that illness away, but I know they're in a rough place, and I know that life is difficult for them now, so I'm just going to give them love. I'm just going to give them caring. And you can give them that and let them do with it as they will. So it's like you're giving them, quote, another metaphor, energy, and they get to use the energy however they like. They can use it to heal their illness, or they can use it to mend their attitude, or they can use it just to feel better, or whatever. So now you have that intent, you see. Well, the energy is a metaphor, but it's a good metaphor that works, because you are giving them something that enables them to do something. And anything that enables somebody to do something, we call that energy. So we are in a way, but it's not energy in the way we think. It's not this little cloud of energy that goes over and lives in their body. You know, that's the way we visualize it, because we're physically focused here. We believe in physical process, but it's the information metaphor, or it's the information reality behind the energy metaphor that you're doing. So most often, well, I shouldn't say most often, a lot of times, the biggest problem with people is their attitude, is their feeling. And often just sending love and caring is better at healing that than if you try to go in and change all the endorphin molecules in their system to, to secrete more, or, oh, I'll give them some extra oxytocin to make them feel better. Well, that's kind of a very specific biological thing that you're doing, and you can do that, but that's probably not going to be as effective as just saying, I love you, I wish you well, I have empathy for you, I understand you're having a hard time, and here's just a little pick-me-up, a little feel better, it's really not so bad, things will work out, I'm here for you, or whatever your feeling is. That's powerful medicine too.
I love that explanation. Thank you.
All right, that is Mr. Tom Campbell. And as you saw there, maybe at the end, I don't know, it was pretty fast. Don't know why they put that there so fast. We'll pause it.
Something on that video.
MyBigToe.com.
So something on video actually went fast? I don't believe it.
Yeah, there was one thing that went fast. It was the place I wanted to stop. Probably should have pumped that one up to 1 1/4 speed for the individuals in this channel. Tom is the MK3 model, and mostly got the MK4s and above in here. So a little bit quicker, a little bit faster processing, but same concepts. And these guys really helped us define things. Tom Campbell has done a whole lot of amazing stuff, and I really like what he talks about in there with basically how basic he makes the concept of basically energy healing, and I think this makes it significantly more approachable to a person. And then on top of that, really more on the focus of the more global thing, thinking good thoughts about other people. Really, we talk a lot about how there's like mirrors or reflections inside of reality. Mirrors cast back what is cast at them. So even if you're looking to do it completely for yourself, thinking good thoughts about like every car that drives by you when they drive by you, thinking good thoughts about the people that you interface with, and these kinds of things, they have a reverberant effect on your reality. And the more that you can focus yourself into ensuring that you're always doing that, the more that you're maintaining that reverberant effect. As your intention comes out and the reverberant effect comes in, over time you actually reprogram even unconscious and subconscious parts of your mind that are used to running like other different kinds of cycles, like talking to yourself about how you're not a good person. If you're not in the habit of ever saying to someone that they're anything like that, because you're always thinking good thoughts about them and you're always purposely projecting a positive thought, you'll inevitably end up recoding these parts of yourself as well. So really just on like how it helps them and how it helps you, and as a byproduct of that, obviously how it helps the world. This is a really worthwhile thing to do, and it doesn't require a lot of investment. You simply, when you recognize that you're focusing on something, have gratitude for something about it. Like you can always find one thing about something to have gratitude for. And if you take the time to do that, like this is free money in your life functionally. Like actually literally in my life, it has been free money. I've been sitting there projecting positive thoughts and had people walk up and give me money for no fucking reason. Like this literally can happen, okay? Wow. So like it literally could be free money, but beyond that, like it will be free money in the sense that really like if you're trying to work with other people and you're trying to accomplish things in your life, realize accomplish. This is very similar to the word accomplice. This is because accomplishing big things oftentimes require you to work with other individuals. If they have a positive feeling about you, Aaron brings up the concept of the Jordan Peterson saying that it's not really about winning the game, it's about ensuring that people want to play with you again. This is the same kind of concept right there. By projecting those positive feelings to them on a mental or metaphysical level, a non-physical level, you're ensuring that you're tuning your engagement with them towards something that is positive, which gives you a higher likelihood that they are going to want to play the game with you again, which means to interact with you again. So it just literally just makes you more likable and has a reverberant effect just on the way that other people treat you and the things that come to you in your reality. And that networking really allows you to accomplish bigger things inside of your life and have more of what feels like a security, because you know you have like a support group that you can work with and you have a good rapport built with. So I really like this idea of purposely like taking the time to project the positive thoughts at people.
I love that. So with and because he can talk, I mean, he can talk on very scientific levels as well, and he did there. Like it's nice to see such heady people. I mean, probably, you know, ourselves included, can be at times or whatever, but like be able to really distill something down to a very simple expression. You know,
Sure.
it's really simple. He's just keeping it very simple instead of going to all the science. I mean, make references here and there, but not like other interviews and things where, you know, he really goes into that shit. It's great. But this is different. It was like distilling down a message, a metaphor, a meaning for our time, from the interdimensional understandings and everything down to, you know, a culturally relevant way to teach people how to just fucking do these insanely complicated things. On one level, they're beautiful to understand, but like, oh, just fucking feel this way, man. Like, focus on your feelings.
Yeah, and it should be noted that, like, when you say scientific, Tom Campbell used to be a NASA consultant. He used to work on U.S. missile defense systems. He has a PhD from, where is it? I'm trying to find it on this page real quick. Let's just look at degree, maybe. Okay, so he has, okay, he actually has a bachelor's degree, but he graduated cum laude, which means with honors. He has double majored in mathematics and physics, and then while he was an undergraduate, he was president of his fraternity, chief justice of the college's student court. He ended up receiving his master's degree in physics in '68, and after his work was commenced on a PhD program with a specialization in experimental nuclear physics, he completed all coursework, passed all examinations, and completed his PhD thesis research exploring excited states of the Na21 nucleus. Nevertheless, Tom decided to leave the university before receiving his doctorate to work with the Monroe Institute. So he is a very, very schooled individual, extremely high functioning. He's been around. Like I said before, he wrote a book called My Big Theory of Everything. It's called My Big Toe. That is at mybigtoe.com, as you see on screen right now. This book basically goes into, throughout his work functionally with the Monroe Institute, he came to develop his own personal theory of everything, which is pretty fucking standard for people who are into physics. Physicists always are trying to figure out a theory of everything. That's basically what physics does in a certain way. So everybody wants to come up with their own. And his is very much so, though, sculpted out of non-ordinary states of consciousness brought on by deep meditative states with the assistance of hemispherical syncing of brain wavelengths, which is functionally what the Monroe technology is. So this is how he came about his own personal theory of awakening, which you can check out in his book, or there's tons of YouTube videos of him talking. Really good stuff. Really simplified format of energy healing, and really just all kinds of stuff. Like, his functions are very, very simplified, and so very approachable.
Yeah.
Very approachable. Yeah. Tommy Campbell.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Brittany Faye, happy to have you here. She's in love with Aaron, so you guys must know each other. I don't know Brittany. Hi, Brittany. I love you too. I'm actually the one that wrote that, but Aaron probably loves you too. That's all good.
Rihanna Faye, I love you. Brittany is a wonderful human being and worth getting to know. It sounds like everybody in the chat is already welcoming her and loving her, and that's great because we're glad to have her here.
Yeah, a bit of a welcoming party for her. So that's good. We want to have this community around here. I would encourage you guys, because it's something that I do, that, you know, every day I'm purposely imagining the reality that I want to live in. I personally do this through a specific visualization that is 2 young kids. They're about like age like 6 or so. They're running around playing in like this wheat field And it started out as like just a wheat field with like sun kissing off of them, kind of sunset. And it's progressively growing into more and more of this reality as I've spent more time focusing on it. It's got windmills, streams, hills, trees, all kinds of fucking shit now. But the function basically of it is just these two, it's a male and a female kid that are like 6, 7 years old. They're running around in like a field of long grasses, and they're just, they don't know anything but love, and they don't know anything but the world being wonderful. And functionally, I mean, like if you wanted to put biblical metaphors on it, you could say that this is Adam and Eve in a new Garden of Eden. And I believe in that as a potential for the world. And I focus on that by sitting in the feeling of being a third party that's sitting in that field, watching these kids do this, and they're laughing about it, and there's sounds and every smells and everything at this point in time. But I basically intoxicate myself in that vision and feel what they're feeling and reproject that back out to what is the concept of the world outside of my closed eyes. And I use that as a function of basically trying to project a potential or enhance the probability that a reality that has these things in it is generated. And this is just like a standard thing that I do this, I don't know, 50 times a day, because like when I get, even if I use this as basically my whole centering thing, even at this point in time. Because if I get like off kilter at all, I immediately just like stop what I'm doing, shut my eyes, start breathing, and think about this place and try and feel this place, you know. And it is very functional. I literally watch my life get better. I watch great people like all the ones that are inside of this chat. Aaron himself was collected by this technology despite his unknowingness of that. But he very much so was, because like, I mean, well, you know, if we let you in on insider secret, I knew about Aaron before Aaron knew I knew about Aaron. I watched Aaron. I liked Aaron. I was very much so already purposely cohering with Aaron, but just giving it the space to evolve the way that it did. I saw very early that he was recording videos. He talked in a way that I found very intriguing. He was very good at doing it in front of a camera and all these things. And I saw that in many ways, things that I wanted to do aligned with him, and in other ways that were unconscious to me, things that I needed to learn about myself. Aaron is a great embodiment of those. As a byproduct of me trying to basically attract this reality to myself, I have brought in the things that have been the focus of my attention and have been the things that really have actually been beneficial for me. And I think Aaron would happily say that it's also beneficial for him, because really the entire purpose of this is to create like a loving reality. And I mean, like everybody here knows Aaron. That's basically what this guy's doing. You know what I mean? So like that's what got attracted. That's what all of you in the chat are doing. Realistically, this like this attracts everyone that's going to come around here, pretty much, because it's the core thing. You know, that's the unity, is that people want to see more love in the world. Everybody, we're so much closer than you think, guys. I was sitting here thinking about this today while I was driving through LA, which is not exactly the place of high vibrations, if you know that. So it's not about that. While I was driving through there, I realized, watching these tons of other cars go by me and everything, and I had a revelatory experience in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that happened. And nevertheless, I realized very much so, and even said something about it out loud because I really wanted to honor it, that like everybody that you see, like all of these like lights, the light around us, right? Every way, every single one of these people wants joy, wants liberty, wants to find love. They want to see their kids be able to grow up. They want to see their dreams be accomplished. Majority of them wants the world to be a significantly better place. Almost everybody actually wants this for themselves. There may be some reason why they focus on some kind of divisiveness, this, that, and the other thing. They're not having a good day. Attitude doesn't really matter. Most of them is exactly like everybody else. They want to feel love in their life. They want to have joy. They want to be able to play again. They want to embrace their childlike spirit, have fun with their friends, have fun with their kids, have fun with their parents. This is what they really want. We might think from what we see in like the media, or what we see when like maybe we're in a position where we're arguing a lot with people, or just for some reason, like I have done very much so in my life, you just get some kind of like glory thing out of playing out this battle metaphor, and you might think that they were a lot farther away from this utopia than it actually is. This is at the core intention of what humans actually want on the planet. Even the ones that may be doing something to hurt you in some way, in the way that you perceive it, inside themselves, they're actually doing what really they believe is good for them and the people that they care about. and they really do want this inside themselves. So this dream that we might have, or this utopia, it's a lot closer than you think. Our minds might be able to bring it into reality because the power of the human consciousness is just literally so fucking insane. It's unbelievable.
Okay, and
it makes me cry every day.
Right, man, 100%. So like, okay, and what are you saying? Just you feeling that way towards a person is far more effective than just doing something nice for them, especially out of some other place or system, right? And if the feeling is the prayer, it's not like you got to go around laying hands on people and praying for them or praying some certain way or saying, can I say a blessing over you? Like, really, you're fully present. We've talked about that too, but present, but I guess emotion felt or feeling felt engagement with them, even just that brief interaction, just a pulse of like, sincere I love you. You're another human and you're here on earth, I love you. And like you just pulse that out as you walk away, like whatever, I don't know, but like feeling that shit all the time in every way towards something or someone or in some dynamic, to be feeling all the time. Maybe I don't know, maybe that's part of the trick. If you're in balance all the time, maybe you're always in a feeling state, but you're never clinging to feelings. You're letting even the good, and negative, whatever, you're letting them flow through, have their time. Record the signatures of them if you want to keep them in this vessel or some neurological system. May I record the other ones, maybe the trauma ones to study, not necessarily to like hold on to them and re-feel them, but sometimes if I can get some more information out of them. But ultimately, like let the events of 3D time and the feelings and the things you feel, let nothing become rocks that clog that river up inside. Right, letting feelings flow through all the time. I mean, maybe that's what having an open heart is. We had another layer to what it means to have an open heart in a healthier, pure way or whatever, unblocked heart. I don't know.
If you feel like your chest is ever like constricting, or like your heart is heavy, or like the top or the bottom of your heart feels like knotted up or anywhere around there, like this practice will solve that. Like it really will. It really, really will. So when we allow that, when we allow ourselves to express and feel love, which is literally just a choice, like the grass that you can see from wherever you are when you're standing outside, it loves you, okay? Like you're getting love projected at you all the time. Like you are a byproduct of love. You're swaddled in it. So you can feel it all the time. You can choose to project it all the time. It's an unlimited resource that we functionally cultivate inside of ourselves. And so you can cause this feedback loop. And if you cause this feedback loop, it opens up your heart. Opening up your heart is just.
So it's amazing.
It's the best thing you can ever do for yourself.
Well, and I totally agree with you, but it's funny. Oh, I have a playlist. Did I send it to you? I might have sent it to you. If I didn't, I need to go find it again. I know where it is now, but it's called the playlist is called. It's based on a TED Talk that's titled this. But I put a playlist of similar materials that overlap spheres or whatever. But it says you always choose how you feel, or a feeling is always a choice or something. And like she lays out all the neurological science behind it and like the emotional psychological science behind it too, but it just lays out the paradigm in a way I don't think even our parents understood growing up. They must not have, because look at the emotional stuntedness there in a lot of ways, just disconnectedness from themselves. They're understanding the system they're in if they're well adjusted. But are they connected to themselves? I don't know. Some of them, but like, it doesn't seem to be. Like not in ways that we seem to be more connected to ourselves. We want to call it that, I guess, more connected to maybe just beyond this life and this construct, or this just whatever the culture would say, being true to whatever our authenticity is, following our dreams, not where our parents want us to be, whatever that, then the ways that all that shit, coherence to yourself in some way that maybe our parents were constricted from because of their own belief systems. So, which is ideal because that's progressing humanity in a sense, to be free from those belief systems, to be authentic. And then we find ways to cohere in a community. But, most people are, well, if people do all these awful things, it's like, dude, the point is one A to Z, there are steps in between. And there's ways to integrate these things into culture where people, they don't have those desires. When you heal the traumas, those things go away. There are really evil people occasionally. I'm not going to negate that and say black and white. But in general, a lot of people are just really traumatized humans, man. Really traumatized humans, and they need to be loved. And so when we feel love and we find ways to, like, fuck man, do you know how many times I've cried over random YouTube videos that I just saw it made her like change my heart, and I feel it because of something I found. So I sought out something that made me feel good. I love the shit that makes me cry and feel good, man. It like powers me up, but it like also cleans me out or whatever. It's beautiful. Just to feel it all is really powerful. And so
crying is a very, very, very powerful purge. in my personal experience, but I think maybe even more so
Really?
for men, because we're like a little bit resistant to it. So when it does
Oh.
actually come out, it's like, you know, a little bit deeper level. And
Most of
so,
us are. Not
yeah,
all of us.
yeah, yeah,
It's not my fault, man. My brain was, my corpus callosum was
Well,
oddly
it's
shaped.
interesting in a certain way. Like I associate that with the fact that you're more in touch with your feminine side
Right.
than like the standard man, right? Like it's not actually that
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like a man who's okay with that. It's that you're like a man who is more in touch with his feminine side, so you're okay with
Totally.
that. You know? What I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Right on. Totally.
Because like
That's
as
true.
I've done the heart opening, get in touch with my feminine side, be more illogical, focus on the intuition. These are all ways of saying be more feminine, right?
Yeah.
So as I've done that, that exact same thing happens to me. Like I used to like, okay, so I cried over this is so ridiculous. Today's a perfect example, okay? So I was sitting out in the grass and a crow flew over my head and I make a pretty good crow noise. It cawed right before it flew over. I cawed, it cawed, I cawed, it cawed. It started circling over my head. And we did this for like 25 caws, right? And then I just like realized in this moment, I was just like, man, like this is like the coolest shit. And we spend all our time like sitting around like doing this other stuff. And right now, like I know I'm communicating with a bird. Like it's clearly responding to what I'm doing. It's not like it's not a maybe. It's literally I'm like oh, and it's like oh, like it's like a call response. It's obvious interaction, right? So and then like
yeah. Good.
and I was just basically like overwhelmed by like, you know, it's another one of these situations where it's just like you do something super simple, just like with the earth, like it's not with humans or like or focus towards your goals or anything. It's just this really pure interaction where you're like, shit, man, this is what life can be like. Like this is actually all it takes to be feeling like, dude, this is fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
doubt.
No TV, no cell phone, none of that. I could have been naked. It wouldn't have mattered. Like none of this matters. I could have had nothing. And I'm just sitting here like talking to a bird and I'm like, this is amazing. Right?
Dude,
and then same thing, like at Chick-fil-A, I have another experience that makes me start crying too, because I'm just like, you know, well, that one's really, really hard to explain, honestly. I didn't really intend to get into like explaining it. I mean, really, it's just that, well, in a lot of ways, it is this like projection of the reality. I got a big thing with the whole idea of wearing the masks because of the quarantine stuff. Like, I'm not for it myself. And at Chick-fil-A, they have all these signs up that literally say like, please wear a mask before you talk to our people outside, right? And so like, I had a mask out, and like this is funny because this is totally like not worth crying about, but I had a moment regardless. Nevertheless, I had this mask out, and I had like my window rolled up and such. And then the person that comes up to like take my order, they're just like okay, before they came and took my order, I like did this basically like little mantra that was just like I think the whole thing of the mask is very much so giving away your freedom of speech, showing that you're willing to be told what to do, like all these kinds of various different things. I'm just not okay with it. And so like I ran this little mantra saying that like I'm not engaging with that. I'm doing this for the sake of these other people and to not cause like this unrest, right? I don't need the unrest in my life. So I'm cohering despite the fact that I'm not agreeing. I'm tolerating to get my goddamn chicken sandwich, right? So like I have this mask sitting on my lap and I leave the window open, so it's only open a crack. Like I'm hoping I don't have to put the mask on because I got the window just a crack, right?
Yeah.
And so like, and I'm ready. I've already like set my intention. I'm doing this, but I'm not doing this, right? I care about you people, and I don't want to cause unrest and cause shit in the line. And like, I'm being a good Samaritan, right? And nevertheless, she comes out to the window, and I'm like looking at the menu, and she's like, "Oh, you can roll down your window. You don't have to put a mask on. Like it's okay." And I was just like,
nice.
dude, what the fuck? Cause like I just like like there are fucking signs everywhere that say like please have a fucking mask on, and like I very much so felt in that moment that it was like I told reality like, okay, I'm willing to cohere with you because I'm not gonna cause unrest, but I don't really agree to this way operating. I'm not a fucking COVID risk. I do nothing but sit in my house since like January basically and go out and get food once a day. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, I'm going to cohere with this. And then reality like did me a solid back being like, look, all reality isn't like that. You don't have to do that. You know, it's fine. And to me, it was very much so an expression of how, like, I've, in my feelings, I felt like my reality kind of molded to what I wanted, because I was willing to. It just felt like a very, like, beautiful symbiotic, like I felt like me and the universe were interacting together through another agent, and it just felt really good.
Yeah.
And it was very nice, because it's all around this idea of the masks, and I got a fucking thing about the masks, and it's fucking like I hear what you guys like. Yeah, down the mask, boo mask, like in a certain way, like I'm with you, but also at the same time, like I'm done fighting, man. Like, mask, no mask, doesn't matter. Like, I love you, and you choose to do that, and that's totally fine. I know you're smiling at me from behind that because I love you, right? It's not about that. And like, I don't know. I just want to believe in a better place, man. I'm no longer like I'm out of the war. I'm fucking retired. It's not about that life anymore. I'm gonna hug everybody into a big dog pile on the battlefield, and y'all are gonna realize that we were just doing this for fun anyways. Like, I'm over it, dude. I'm not doing it no more.
So
This mask thing was just
let me
great
tell
for
you
me.
where I live. Let me tell you where I live on my inside places on this mask thing.
Hmm?
All right, so and I'll have to process this out too now. 'Cause I'm thinking about it. Just now that there's been contrast by you sharing that, and the different. I've read the different comments in the group from guys. So I see everything in layers of meaning, right? Like that there, the layers of meaning that you laid out in the freedom of speech, and that I know the esoteric overlays. You can get into actual physiological dynamics. Is actually one of the first things I thought about. You're breathing in excess. You know, stuff that's supposed to be going out of your mouth is coming back into you every single breath. So you're recycling energy. So you're probably downing your own vibration, or your own, if you want to call it that, but really then
The list is long.
effectiveness of your effect of your nervous system. Like, anyway, all this shit. Like, I was thinking that way too. Like, there's layers of like how it could be detrimental and could be in a higher levels positioning society, and is. I mean, I get all those. Like, I feel like I get those layers. However, what you were describing in the latter, especially since the virus hit, I told you, we talked about this, man. That was it. That was go time. It's not like I was activated. Like I'm not a fucking robot. None of us are robots, man. So I have problems with some of the terminology gets thrown around on some level. I get it to some level, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, I got
but
problems with like
learn.
all of it. I just deal with it though, you know.
Yeah, right. I know. It's like pick and choose your battle over words, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, so like when coherence happens, this is way better. But where I was at in my present moment now, life, 3D life, all the things that led to life, where I just happened to be, and the world shift dynamics, the energy shift, some massive amount of coherence came present inside of me, and it was just fucking go time, man. And you know what that meant? Have fucking fun. I went on a fucking tour to Circle Mound, Washington, D.C., was dancing around the monument, and I got to be on Circle Mound by myself and walk barefoot along its spine all the way down, and got to bury some crystals there and do some other shit, man. Me and Frank talked about that on the show, some of his as well, because I saw him first in New York. You know, really, really beautiful shit, man. And it's just been on a roll ever since. And then this happened organically, like you were saying before. We did like to an extent when you saw me initially, and you showing that perspective from your side, which is funny because you shared that with me before. So it's just interesting to hear it like once or so. So it's interesting to hear it again in the way you laid out. But because I know when I met you too, and I knew like I saw a couple of your videos or your clips. I went to your Instagram stuff, and I was like, yeah, right on. It's kind of like Frank, but different. I've talked about this a lot. When I knew, actually, so it is some of you in this dynamic. I guess was similar because you saw me first, and I wasn't aware of you, right? That when I found Frank on YouTube, when I immediately found his shit, I'm like, oh yeah, me and Frank are gonna meet up, and we're gonna, like we'll be knowing each other for a long time once we do meet up. So I was fine. Like you were saying, you were fine with it. You kind of made a connection with me, whatever, and you kind of let me do my thing, and you did your thing. The same with Frank. I didn't even make a connection with him. Like I found his stuff. I found a resonance like with his soul, whether he was consciously aware or not. And I just understood very soon in the future, next few years, whatever, I would be meeting up with him and look how fucking good friends we are, man. Like, how could I have predicted that shit? Like,
it's interesting because, like, and Jen can confirm this. There was another person at that time that I was doing the exact same thing about, and it was Frank Castle. It's pretty weird, dude.
No shit. Tell me. What do you mean? Tell me. This is awesome. It's funny.
Really functionally, from early of recognizing Frank, like even before I had like necessarily like assessed the ins and outs of his beliefs, if that was something I needed to do, to basically put it short, I recognized that Frank was a very powerful individual.
Right.
And so like I just like I don't know. I knew like we do stuff together. That's a thing, obviously.
Yeah.
And I just knew, but I don't like, I'm not gonna, there's no reason to force that. When you know like that, there's no reason to force, like, it happens whenever it's supposed to happen. There's nothing to worry about.
Right.
So,
No doubt, man. And look at
yeah.
the context we've created for those things to happen. He comes on shore
Yeah.
organically. He's building relationship with us and other people or whatever, us on the show, and that long dialogues. And it's just going to open opportunities for whatever you guys to do shit together or like other shit, man. That's right on.
Yeah, and like just as many similarities as I have with you, I like also have with Frank. You know, like I'm so into hip hop from back in the day. Like I could teach a hip hop education course, honestly, off the top of my head, like no problem.
Listen,
You know,
man, you guys like. I would fit in perfectly. I would not be up to speed with you guys with that shit, but I would love that shit. Like I would want to be present, man, for that shit. I love that shit.
We could rap together. I write rap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that in and of itself, like inside in a certain way, like the amount of people who write rap or can actually perform it, or then on top of that are any good, is a progressively smaller and smaller number that didn't start very big to begin with. So like if you can rap decent, you already like put yourself into this little niche where like everybody else in it is like, all right, you're all right, you know, in a certain way, like you're all right, you know. We got a resonance point.
I tell you what, man, there's a dude, I won't say his name or whatever. It's just like I don't need to, like there's things there. Anyway, when I knew him, in the Christian sphere, he was a Christian rapper, right? He was like fucking really, really good. Culturally witty enough, but you know, clean. Who's clean, but he was really good. And like I think I got some videos of him way back in like 2008 or whatever. I think he still does it now. But and then my best friend who lived with me and my best friend in my senior year probably. And I mean, it's whatever. Best friend. This is one of those best friends that I literally haven't talked to in like Jesus, 8 years or something. And then even then it was brief. And then I saw him, I don't know, he lived with me for a year where we played basketball 24/7. We really got along. But he was originally he's born like full Ugandan. Then lived in Victoria's family moved to Victoria, BC when he was 3. Then they sent him here for a senior high school to try to get a basketball scholarship. So he stayed with us. Just because the other place didn't work out. My mom just kind of took him in. Which is Jesus, he's so funny. So many stories with him. Anyhow, so we'd always go like downtown or like South Seattle and stuff to play. That's where he was used to playing, down in Garfield and down different places, down rougher places. And I was always fine in general because I was just myself. I was still this kind of goobery, if you want to call it. I was still myself, and it always fucking was fine. I barely ever got under somebody's skin. Occasionally, when I did, it wasn't my fault. Right, they were just fucking really didn't like me being so white. And like, but Emmanuel, like he's like 5'8", but he would get up in their face or like, nose to their chin or whatever, like up in their grill, like they're about to beat him up, and they never had to, because he would turn that shit on, like defending me, right? This is so funny. Anyway, made me think of that story.
I got caught up with these comments that I started reading in the middle of that, and then I checked to see, because she said Serpent Mound is on the pilot's wheel, right? The ley line.
Before you say anything, I read that comment too. Hold on. I was waiting to put it in the flow of the conversation. Okay, so it's amazing she said that, because if you pulled that up, I think it's what Angela. Okay, check this out. This is synchronistic, right? I've got maps on my wall. I've been waiting to put this up on my wall because me and Angela, when we were like Kentucky or Tennessee, I think Tennessee was really nice. They were nice there, and that's when we looked at it. And we looked at that up in the parking lot. We were like, hey, I wonder what grid lines we might be encircling. Dude, that is almost literally, I'm pretty sure I'm actually put those pins on, and I've got rope, and I've got all the conspiracy theorist shit. I got it all ready to go. And so I'm gonna see how close it is, because it's fucking close, man. That's really interesting. And we've made interesting random synchronistic stops. The GPS literally would take us on routes that made no sense at all, like off the highway. We're going like 200 miles on the highway, and there's no road stops, no nothing. For no reason, we get off and make these weird loops, and then it ends up being like Highway 6, or Highway 9 or some shit that we were seeing everywhere else anyway, or like, all that shit. So we just followed where the wind blows, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. If you can't see on the map, on the top left corner up here in southern Ohio is Serpent Mound. And then all of these lines that you see crossing are functionally magnetic grid lines, right? Yeah. So this is what's known as like the Hartman and the Curry grid. And so at this specific place here, Pilot Mountain, all of these converge, right together. Interestingly, even though surely it's completely unrelated because our government would tell us if they were doing something like this, there happens to be government installations at every single one of these crossovers in the United States. Isn't that weird? Wonder what's going on there. So, nevertheless, yeah. So these points that are located on here are kind of basically like if you overlaid this kind of wheel concept here on these things, these are the points that would lead to other things that are in what I guess you would call prime directions, right? Like north, northeast, east, southeast, south, etc. So
help me map this
there's
out.
interesting stuff all over.
Help me map this out right now. Like since you got it up, might as well. Let's help me. Hold on. Let's see. My contacts. So we went to.
Brittany says that she tripped on Silawaska at Stone Mountain, and then you're at Serpent Mountain. That's the southwest one, and then you're at the northwest one.
No shit, because
and then Maya says that she played her flute at Serpent Mound and sang at Serpent Mound.
Oh, I did that. I'd done it for the Serpent Mound. I played my flute and sang at on the way there. It was in Pennsylvania. I had a really cool connection with my ancestors because I found out just before my trip that like my brother sent me his DNA result test thing, and it said that it showed our family lineage progression from like New York where we started down through the route we took almost like into Ohio. And also along the way, like stopped and really was. There's a lot of shit that was integrated there. There's really cool shit. We did a ritual ceremony, buried some crystals, saged and played the flute, and like it was just beautiful, awesome shit. So it's really interesting. All right, so I'm trying to find. Hold on. So let me find. We went to Kevin Groom's place. Damn, I don't have it on here. I pretty sure. So where's Myrtle Beach? We went for sure. Myrtle Beach, Carolina. I don't know if that's north or south.
The Carolinas are basically on the right, on the southeast area.
Yeah, but like, where's is there a way to zoom in on that?
I'm presuming Myrtle Beach is probably along the Serpent Lake grid, just in from this blue dot. It's probably the land where that makes landfall. Would be my guess. I don't know where Myrtle Beach is.
All right, hold on. Let me look it up. I can do that right here. I can see on the map.
Coincidentally, this is the location of Cape Fear. You may remember that movie from the 90s. Why'd they call it that? Weird.
Hold on. Where's Cape Fear? Is there another city near
there? Right. Bottom right, basically.
Yeah, they call that Nag's Head. I mean, I see that's New Jersey. Okay, so Myrtle Beach is right in that hook. I think right by Cape Fear. Just south of Cape Fear. That must be what that is.
Yeah, probably. It's probably, let's see, okay, this is as much as I can zoom in. Okay, I can zoom in maybe here more. No? So anyways, just on this line right here, in between like the blue and Cape Fear, I'm pretty sure that's Myrtle Beach. Right there.
North and south. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, no shit, man. Look, it's like really right. Okay, there it is. It's right before, it's just at the tail end. You're good. No,
I was trying to look at something else.
Oh, hold on, but I was to see where it is. I can point out real quick. I know exactly where it is. So if you zoom in on the green line between North and South Carolina.
Can't zoom in any farther than this.
Okay, it's just south of that green line, and then we drove north from there, so it was really fucking close. And then we went went to Tennessee too. See, man, we took a weird route. We went to Knoxville, Tennessee. There it is, right there. So that's just east of the Stone or whatever that other one is.
Sandstone.
So we went just east there. We were at Knoxville, and then we went down into Tennessee, and then down into Virginia because we went and saw Clea, and then also another guy, I forgot his name now, but went to Cheyenne Mountains. I don't know if that'd even be on there, but that's somewhere in there. Let me see where that is on here. Cheyenne. Since we have the time to do this on our show, at one time we spent 28 minutes making a meme and laughing about being ants instead of an ant colony. And right now we're mapping out an actual grid that I took live online, buried in the material no one will ever find. Awesome.
Yeah, and it is interesting, of course, to note that this then ends up directly aligning with Washington, D.C., which is just...
And that's where I was too.
just incredibly curious, you know.
Isn't it amazing? This is very. Angela and I did this very synchronistically. We just kind of like whoever was available to see us, and like because the virus thing was really big then, and like people, you know, may not want to stop by, and some people did, and that's fine. And like so, we just kind of made this loop very synchronistically, and we saw the very ancient elders and these movements that have been here a long time, doing things behind the scenes and in their own ways above ground, doing some shit, man. And we were connected with them. And Cheyenne Mountains is what I'm naming it correctly. I'm trying to look it up here. This would be Georgia. Then he was saying this is. I was saying Colorado. Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Tiffany asked what this map is of. This map is a function of energetic ley lines that run through kind of like the eastern United States that are all centered around this place called Pilot Mountain. It's oftentimes referred to as the Pilot's Wheel. And really the reason why we're talking about it is because Erin was recently at Serpent Mound. Another person in here, Maya, played her flute there. And some other people have been to other locations on these.
Yes, we're making interesting connections because the places we happen to drive to happen to be some places directly on this map, and I mean some almost exactly, others very close. So it's
yeah, in a certain way, you were doing a ton of stuff inside of the Pilot's Wheel, kind of like the whole time. It sounds like you kind of went all over in here because you said like you ended up in Virginia, but like the way that you told the story, you were like in the Carolinas, and then you were in Tennessee, and then you were over in Virginia, so you were like over here.
Can you put the mouse on the screen?
It doesn't really like it. I think it actually is on there. Can't remember. Maybe if I do the whole like if I show my whole screen.
Okay, I'm just trying to because it I can just so you can draw it out real quick where we went. I realized maybe I didn't paint that out very well. So it's the loop we took. Yeah, it's a little better. So I guess
you can't see it right now. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah, change your desktop settings. Give you the big mouse for the older people.
What is this thing? I forget what the button is. Gotta look at this real quick.
Yep.
Control-1. Do it. Why won't it show on this map? I hate when this does this with this overlay. Anyways, you can't see it, and it goes to like a text thing like all over this. Cause see, like I can select Knoxville or this. I don't know. This is a PDF, so it's kind of a weird way to be looking at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, my cursor overlay does not. Oh, will that one stay? No. Oh, see, because like you can see for a second, maybe. No. Yeah, you see that big pink cursor on there? It should look like that all the time, but for some reason it's not working on that overlay. If I move it up here, you'll see it at the top of the screen.
Oh,
right? Very easy to see. Very easy to see. Does not show on the PDF. So
what the hell? Can you create a new layer? Or put into
I don't actually
into Photoshop real quick?
I could actually do that, yeah. Yeah, we could just print screen on that bad boy. We already got this open.
It'd be interesting for you to see the route I took too. I mean, it would be nice to. I've been meaning to do this, like I said, on my wall, so I might as well do it on my digital wall. Digital living wall in the middle of a podcast.
Wait. Why is that not 1920 by 1080? There we go.
Okay, I gotta look.
Paste. Do it. No.
We didn't quite go to Bruno. Yeah, I went to Charleston. That's where we went for one. And then north from there.
Alright. We can get in even more here. Hide that. Don't need that. Okay, so what are we trying to see on here? What do you want me to do?
Okay, where are you gonna make them cursor big again?
Let me get a tool over here. I got my camera in the way of my screen here. I need a tool. Not big enough. So where did you start?
Bronx, New York, which may be off screen, but you can just do. And then
it's like up here.
Yeah. Okay. So then we came through
DC.
No, DC was on the way back, so we ended up verging off west through. I think maybe we went through Pittsburgh potentially into Ohio, over to Serpent Mound. So I don't know if we stopped in Moundsville, but we went darn near close. Yeah, down that way. And then I think along the, yeah, oh, there you go. Shit, that was fast. Just showed up. Okay. And then we went through Kentucky because we went to Knoxville, Tennessee.
So we'll just draw a straight line down to Knoxville.
Yeah, however the highways go, something like that. And then we went through, I think, through like North Georgia mountains. I was looking it up. I don't remember the address and whatever. I have to figure that out later. And then through then the north part of South Carolina, down
So you
towards
probably
Mobile.
came on down here like kind of towards Stone Mountain or towards Atlanta.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it must
We
have
didn't
been.
go into
That's how
it.
you would get down there.
We didn't go into Georgia. I'm pretty sure. I mean, sorry, I did say North Georgia. Yeah, I guess so. I don't remember going through Atlanta, but that was, I think that one was a long
Well,
drive.
Atlanta's
overnight.
down here at this blue dot down here. This is, you see where the
Stone
square
Mountain
pops
dot?
up right now? That
Yeah.
square is where Atlanta is, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
But
know. Maybe we did and just didn't go through it or give much attention. But yeah, then we came down
I
through.
think you probably came over here and then over into South Carolina. Like
Okay.
you'll see in just a second, right there.
Yeah, that looks about right. I remember taking on the GPS feeling like we went pretty hard east for a while at one point. And then over to
Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, or I think it's near there for sure. It's like within an hour there. I think that's a focal point. But
So it was like right down here though, right? Like under Cape Fear.
yeah, right there for sure. And then we ended up going up from there. I don't think we stopped anywhere else. As the Carolinas. Then we went up through. Yeah, then we ended up going through DC. So wherever we went to get
Did you
there,
go through Charlottesville?
Let me see. I'd have to. We might have there. Like again, there's a lot of cities we went into that we didn't need to or whatever. We just stopped in.
You were basically trying to get to DC as fast as possible, right?
I think we did. No, not really. We were just going that direction. Yeah, from that point we were heading that direction, but like whatever direction kind of we went. So I don't know. We put a question mark on that.
Did you go through Raleigh?
Okay, now you got zoom in.
Did you go through North Carolina?
It's so bad. We're both like, neither of us mapped this out at all. We mapped it as we went, and then just like, yeah, that was great. All right. That's so funny. I would have spent half a day on this probably if I did the map on my own. So we'll figure it out close enough. I know. Okay, I know.
The most likely travel path, if you're trying to basically get to DC effectively, would be to come up to Raleigh here. Come up to Charlottesville, basically here. There's a highway that either goes over this body of water or around it, and then up into DC, like northeast. That would be the. I mean, there's obviously going to be highways, major highways in between all of those. Raleigh is huge. Charlottesville is big. DC's huge.
Yeah. So I don't know. Whatever. We're empty. Yeah, that's fine. And then we backed up to Bronx and took off from JFK. So yeah, that's approximately the amount we take. It makes almost a cube.
It's funny, like if you would have known that you were doing this in the first place, I feel like well, let's do like a different line. We'll do blue for this one, and we'll make a new layer, and we'll turn that layer. Not that layer. Oh, I drew on the background. Nevertheless, I feel like you probably would like come down here and gone to Moundsville. And then you basically drive over into Columbus and then down to Serpent Mound, right here. And then you probably would have gone down through like Frankfort and Lexington and such and came down here to here because you're already like right next to it, over to Knoxville, then come down in here. You're already basically at Atlanta where Stone Mountain is, right? You might as well do that. Now you could maybe skip out on this because this is like a United States Marine Corps base that they're marking there. But like at that point in time, then you drive over into Greenville or whatever and get over to here where whatever the reason was that you're coming here. And then you can do the same rest of the trip, but you like hit several of these other spots. You know what I mean? You're so close to them. And you might as well just hit over into here and then came right up the ley line back to New York. You know what I mean?
Go back over to Serpent Mountain and then close that box off. Right now we got a Santa hat going or something, man. So it's like I see like a pizza guy from Caesar's Pizza. Holy shit, totally. Look at the big nose. No, you got rid of the mouth. Dude, that's
Pizza,
really interesting.
pizza.
I'll
Oh my
check with,
gosh.
that's in general. That's really interesting. So I'll check with Angela if she remembers more specifics, and I'll actually pin that on my wall, or at my physical literal wall with red string, and
Let's see if it really looks like the Little Caesars guy here. It's pretty close.
Oh yeah, look
It's
at
not too bad.
Yeah.
What is this
What do you
ridiculous
think of?
cursor that's on here right now? How do I change the color? Oh, it's a Nyan cat. Good. That'll work. Yeah, so let's check him out. He's more rounded, but it's similar. You know?
Yeah, maybe the
Close.
smaller version is square, more square, but whatever. It's close. Come on.
It's very close.
Profile view. Yeah.
It's very close. So, anyways.
Totally. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's not too bad. I mean, you were drawing it with a car, so I'll give you that.
Yeah, no doubt. Look what synchronicity led me back to pizza, because it reminds me that I also incarnate here for beer, sex, and pizza. Those things are also important. What's funny is actually, like, I don't really care for beer that much. I drink it maybe if what you call socially, but what does that mean? Like, for me, that's like once or twice a year that I'm in a situation where I feel like I have to, or not have to, but like I'm fine. I want to drink a beer. They're available. Okay, I'll try a beer. Like, it's fine. Or I go out for a beer with someone specifically. Otherwise, I just don't care. I don't have an interest in it. But yeah, it's funny how like the metaphor carries over, but specifically, it's for me. It's not.
Yeah. Same on this right here. P.S. Jen, how bad do you want crazy bread? Bad enough to drive and go get it. 10 o'clock.
I second that.
Is Little Caesars open still?
Positive, loving vibes.
What's the Little Caesars near me? Crazy bread does sound delicious. Big fan of the crazy bread. Let's see, closest one. It's right here. We live really close to Little Caesars. Ooh, closed. Too late, boys. Too bad. Crazy bread is a no-go. That's not happening. Nah, it's too bad. What can you do? As Munchie said, it was close. It was close. It was close. Almost had some crazy bread. Yeah, you're right.
My chowder.
We could have just trusted Mello's intuition. It's closed. Have you ever had crazy crust? I can't say that I have. I would take a few pieces right now, though. I can tell you that. I like how last time you were in your truck, you ended up doing stuff so long that every food place closed. So this time you have like a cup of soup or something.
So I'm prepared, man. I was like, that's the time again. I was so psyched to go to Wendy's, and after the show, you and I talked I was like, oh, fuck it, that's it. I'm gonna close now. So like, shit, I'm prepared.
Yeah, tough out there.
Sometimes.
Yeah, so Brittany says here that Stone Mountain is about an hour north of Atlanta. So you could have gotten there pretty easy.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Find out when I talk to Angela.
ATL has a really cool culture.
Might make sense. Like, it's fine. I almost appreciate the fact that Munchies always ask me what I'm eating.
Yeah, it's his thing. I like it.
Yeah. This is some kind of chowder soup that they didn't have the soup I wanted, but this is the one I picked, and it's all right.
Well, we're killing Brittany here because she is fasting, so that's
oh man,
sorry.
Bummer.
I should go grab something to eat. Let's full screen Aaron while he eats his soup. Like last time, he had some ice cream.
Yeah, like the ice cream. Come on, man.
Yeah, soup. All right, we're not gonna do it. That's mean we're actually gonna remove him from the stream, so you don't have to watch it. Just kidding. We're gonna bring him back.
I'll lower it out of sight. Just pretend I'm doing weird things with my hand.
Jasmine's having ceviche right now.
Ooh, yum. Sorry, Brittany.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, that was weird. Turn into the stuff about like the pilot's wheel and stuff. Why did we start talking about that?
I think Brittany brought it up, and then I said I brought attention to it because that me and Angela had looked up the same grid when we were there and noticed that we had, as we have seen, drove a very synchronistically very similar route to that grid. So that's very additionally synchronistic and good data and interesting to me to continue to calculate.
What does that word that you just said mean, Willow? I looked up a
Yeah, yeah.
picture of this, or I looked
Yeah.
this up, and I got the funniest pictures. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't.
This happened the other
This
night,
is
man.
not what I
got off.
expected to see
Or when you're
right
on
here.
when
When
you're
I
on a big
searched for
break.
this is not what I expected to see, guys.
Right. Right. I thought it was gonna be like porn, right? Or something like, oh man, it's gonna be bad. But no, it's like
Oh my
that
god!
shit.
What the hell are they doing? Why? What is it? What is it? What is it?
I don't know, food eating competition or some shit. I don't know.
They just eat enormous amounts of food
Oh, mukbang essentially means eating show.
that finds viewers watching mukbangers binge eating copious amounts of food. This strange trend began in
Mukbangers.
Korea in 2011, where most strange things come from, I might add. Korea does weird stuff. I gotta say, that is really weird. Like, this is such a weird thing to have happen in our culture. We have like tons of people that are starving to death in the world, and then there's, also, wait, I got the wrong tab now because we got to zoom in on homeboy over here. Look at what is going on here. This would feed like a village. Like, this is how much some villages probably eat in a day. It's intense. Like, whoa. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because this gets views, so you just like stuff yourself with enormous amounts of food? That's really weird. What does this mean?
Type it in. You missed it, man. You were gone for like a 10-minute break, like on the slug meditation video. You were gone for like 10 minutes, and this is the shit we were looking up. That's funny because like I think whoever else, obviously they were in there. I think Sasha's one who switched it around to say look up Kumbang, and I did, and it was not what I thought it was. It was really funny. That started us down a path of the ant thing.
I'm having what is it? What is it? A beetle?
I know. It's yeah, right, man. What the fuck? Trying to figure that shit out, but it's not what you think it was. Wait, the search term result anyway.
How weird. Like, so okay. It is definitely like a weird thing to say before someone's name. I'm not gonna lie.
No doubt.
Mukbang essentially means eating show. It's very weird. Oh man. Yeah, that makes me not want to eat. I don't know. It's excessive. I definitely do not eat that much food in like probably 3 days, honestly. As much as was in that last picture that I loaded.
That's a lot of food, yeah.
It is a
I mean,
lot.
I'm a big guy, and like, if I'm not working out, I'm not strength training and shit. I don't eat that much food, man. Unless I'm in like a rut of eating food, but it's still not that much food in 3 days or whatever. I don't know. It's a lot of food.
I loved Arby's at one point in time, and then me and a buddy we just started eating. Like, they had some crazy special on roast beef sandwiches, like 8 for $8 or something like that.
Hold on, the ones with or without the cheddar.
I think they had cheddar. I think they were the cheddar ones.
I always like the ones with the cheddar. I didn't really like the plain ones.
All I remember is that we ended up going, like, we were at Arby's like all the time over the course of like a month, and just like I just couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't do it anymore. I don't know.
Yep.
And it never really came back to me. I don't know. I guess if someone handed me a beef and cheddar right now, I could eat it.
See, that's the thing, man. That's what's nice about like the first world that we're in this time frame. Like I'm totally fine like living totally separate for society for long periods of time or whatever, however that looks like, totally changing lifestyles, but enjoying where you're at in the moments, right? The culture I'm grown up in, the culture I'm currently in, the culture that is around me. If I want at any point, I'm like, you know what fucking sounds good right now? Shit I haven't had in like 5 years or 8 years, like fucking Arby's, some shit. Let's go get it. Oh, there's one down the street. Cool. Like, fuck, man. I appreciate that shit. That's kind of nice. The convenience is nice. I know other people are living in poverty, but like, and we're working to a place to help heal those things. But it's like in the culture I grew up in, not as aware
going
of
to
those
have a
things
meal because you haven't had it in a while or whatever. Like, that's one thing. Like, you have like a YouTube channel around eating just enormous amounts of food in one sitting. Like, I don't know. That's a different thing. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty creepy and interesting at the same time. Jen says, I just typed in K on my Google search, and its first suggestion was come bang. What the fuck?
Interesting, isn't it? I think because they pick up our audio. I've noticed that. I've noticed that a few times too. It is what it is. I just tune into it, and I put my own layers into it and whatever energetically. But it is the thing.
Bob says, I love that I've been ravenously hungry for the past week and decided I'm fasting tomorrow. Hey, what's going on in the podcast? Oh, food talk.
Isn't that funny? 'Cause it's like, oh, we're not being mean. It just is what it is, man. Maybe you're supposed to face some extra resistance, or maybe you're supposed to be like, nah, I'm gonna do it fast later. Who knows?
When you're saying in and out for you, Mello, is that like the thing that you haven't had for a while that you want to go back and have? Is that the thing? Is that what you mean? Jasmine said she's pretty sure her husband could eat all of that and still say he was hungry. That's like he's got some kind of talent or something. Seriously, you put that man in a food race. That's intense.
I will say, I don't know if the default like ego or 6'6" thing kicks into the body at some like good times, man. I dive into food. I can put on some weight and just dive into food. But it's not like I dive into it. It's unconscious. There's so much access to food in a lot of ways. You just are put more of it around you, and you eat more of it. So you put more of it in your life for whatever the psychological reasons are and whatever. But I know like operating best, it always feels best just like one meal a day ish, or whatever. I mean, even when I feel like eating, but like it's nice when I'm focused and in a groove. Like right now, I eat like once a day or so, and that's about it. It feels good.
I should have like a bowl of nuts that I keep on my out where I am usually
like
all the time or something.
Like Will.
Yeah, like that. Basically, I don't think he would have a bowl of nuts for long at the rate that he was tearing down those almonds. He was eating all the almonds for sure.
Big old smile on his face.
Yeah, he liked the almonds. He made them look good. In-N-Out is definitely amazing.
Really?
As far as
I don't think I've ever had it. That's a California thing, right?
Well, it's other places in California, but it was originally definitely a California thing. And
I don't think they have one up here. Or at least I haven't been to one or seen one really up here. I don't think I've ever been to one. But I'd never been to a Chick-fil-A either until they brought one out to Linwood up here a couple years ago.
Yeah, Mela says, Aaron, you need this. Aaron's going to be down here at like the end of the month, so we can definitely go to In-N-Out while he's here.
I need an In-N-Out burger? Oh, fuck yeah, all right. Yeah, done.
Mela, if you're down in the LA area, you should come hang out sometime. We're in Riverside. Well, that's where I am. So, and Aaron's going to be down here at the end of the month, so you could potentially come over and hang out or something if you wanted to. If you were so inclined, we could go to In-N-Out. And if there's 3 of us in the car together that can all talk, then maybe we can deal with the enormous fucking lines that they always have. So
cool. Sounds like a plan, Stan.
They're fucking big. So, yeah. Let's hear this song that Maya Rose sent to me earlier of this YouTube channel, Chat Fame. And it's 3 minutes long, and she sent it to me, so we're going to listen to it. And here it goes.
Jakinde rakinde rakinde la, jakinde wakinde rakinde wa, jakinde la, jakinde la, dakinde wakinde dayeraya. Jakuleku, daikinda, jakinda, daikinda, rakinda, yarendela. Yaku, jinderela, dikindela, yakukuwa, kinaya, shinyaya. Jakindaya, daikindewa, daikikuwa, kinalaile jaya. Kuya, kuya, taiwanela. Kuya, tuja, tiwa, kindo. Iyaya. Chukiniwa, kinadaikindela. Chukiniwa, kinadaikindela. Jakuya, kuya, taiwana, tuja. Kian baile kinda jikindaya. Jakuya, kuya, taiwana, tujika. Daiya, tayayu, tijiyaya.
Yo, that's nice. Do you mind if I put like percussion and like some other instrumental stuff behind that and like basically make a remix of it? Is that something that you would be all right with? Because that's pretty dope. And I'm not gonna mess with the vocal. I'm not really gonna do like hardly any vocal treatment except for just to make it like fuller and like more prominence and stuff like that. But I would really like to yeah. So put some drums and shit behind that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that would be awesome, man. I'm envisioning that the additional layers and frequencies that would add and open up, because I feel like, so the picture, just using the picture as a metaphorical portal to enter into the energy of the song.
Yep. Which Maya also created. BT Dubs. She painted that.
Beautiful. Yeah, because there's additional resonance there with the actual expression itself, or the vocal expression. So just even just seeing and perceiving, like, you know, beings like, let's say, like, well, you know her name, man, but I know exactly who you're talking about because I've seen Fifth Element like 100 times. I've just never memorized that chick's name. Who's the singer and their character's name?
Diva Plava Laguna.
Diva Plava Laguna. So there's beings like that externally, clearly she's different being, right, from a different species doing a thing, but she's there and she's singing. Her gift, literally, like the way she sings, you know, that they express this so much in the show. But as we heard, like, if you can cause a feeling in some side of someone, the gongs, the cymbals, the feel, you know, all those things that cause a feeling inside of what, as heart, mind, or heart brain coherence, of love, of gratitude, of joy, of acceptance, of like just these full emotions that you can feel from someone else's vocal expression. Like, I mean, that's all they came here to do, man. You know, like, that's it. Like, you see this being, this interdimensional being from who knows where their like soul history is or any of that shit. But the point is, they're not really here to be a human. They don't really care about that shit. They're here to sing, or they're here to just do their thing, even if it's totally nuanced. There's nothing mainstream to it at all. Like, they're here to do whatever their thing is. That's where they have the most coherence in this space. And so it's beautiful to see that come through certain people's expressions. Like, you know, just even in that song expression, like, there's a soul level of like, boom, this is what I was fucking here to do, right? And just that's why there's so much resonance and coherence with that expression, even if it's not like conscious, like, oh, that's what I'm here to do. Like, but like, there's at some level, some soul level, there's a lot of things going on really, really well there that's bring massive amplified resonance and coherence.
Yeah. Tiffany asks, is that a particular language? From what Maya's told me, it's effectively a light language. These are kind of original light codes. Sometimes she also sings in Hebrew, Sanskrit, and Indian, which I think she's referring to Native American with that. She can correct me if I'm wrong in chat. So a mixture of languages, and then also her own intuitive light language. So we should have some kind of healing camp, magic, and so on. Yeah, I'd like to have as many of these as we can have as a community, and it's my long-term goal to actually establish a place where this is the entire purpose of it, and we can create magical activities, and really just a magical land that is constantly there, and hopefully we will be able to bring this together. Lots of work to do. Your voice really, it is indeed just incredibly magical. It is really, really, really good. Really excited to work with it a little bit. Tiffany wants to chant, sing more. I mean, we could organize a community event if people are interested in chanting or singing or sharing that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I'd be more than happy to organize that kind of thing. The idea of using the voice, creating music, these things that are really central to my heart. And I think it'd be very interesting to get those kind of creators around each other and let them riff off of each other, learn ideas from each other and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Maya apparently uses just a whole bunch of languages. So you'll just have to listen to more to find out. Bob brought up a concept called randonauting. There's a 1 minute and 43-second video that explains what it is. And while he gave a decent little explanation here, where he said it's a good activity for gathering in an unfamiliar place, he thinks, quantum number generation, overlaid to GPS, go places you would have no reason to go, forced novelty and such. And we're going to get a slightly deeper look at what that is in this 1 minute and 43-second video that we're going to watch here real quick called What is Randonauting? Here we go.
This is a big, majestic place. Wide open spaces, sprawling cities, and unbelievable nature is ours to discover. But how much have you really explored? What if there was more wonder to wander in? What if the mind, your mind and your thoughts had an impact on the environment around you? The Randonauts are a group of curious explorers around the world who think this might be the case. They test this theory with the help of a quantum random number generator and Mother Nature. The results of the Randonaut journeys can only be called a phenomenon at this point. So here's how this works. Use the Randonautica app to access a QRNG or quantum random number generator, which, you guessed it, generates a truly random number in the form of coordinates. The app can limit the radius of the quantum point so that we're able to explore the world directly around us without driving all day. And to make things even more interesting, randonauting isn't just about exploring the world around us. It's also produced some pretty interesting synchronicities or coincidences, and some experts are theorizing the quantum process may even be influenced by the user's thoughts and consciousness. This is why we ask our randonauts to set an intention for their journey before using the app. These intentions can be big or small, grand or trivial. Either way, we want to see what happens. So keep your eyes open and let's get ready for.
I'm always so tripped out when they use like some standard like psychedelic voyage verbiage with something. They're like, this is why we prefer if you set an intention before your journey. And I was just like, dude, this is amazing. Like, I'm actually pretty sold on that idea. I think the idea of like letting basically a random number generator decide where you're going to go hang out probably would actually increase the amount of synchronicity that you experience in your life. Like that, it's actually, that's actually, honestly, you might have just helped my life in certain ways because like I fucking hate going places for no reason. I hate it. But like that, like because a random number generator told me to, for some reason, satiates my technology side enough to be like, oh, but there is a reason because we have to get to the point that the random number generator came up with.
But maybe what does that reason teach?
Oh yeah, it's a cringy video, Bob. It's very cringy. Very cringy. Massive cringe alert on that last video. Please don't let that video, despite the fact that it's apparently made by the randonauters themselves, defeat the actual beauty behind this concept. This is super cool. Go to a random place after setting an intention that something generates a location for you, and then you just go there and see what happens.
Okay, so it's interesting. Like, so in the Christian paradigm, there's some youth groups, younger people who are a little more in tune to some interdimensional dynamics and shit, starting to get together, and they would do what they would call treasure hunting groups, and they were looking for God's treasures. So they would come together, they begin to speak in tongues, light language, pray, worship, sing, get their vibration up, if you will, right? Or get in, meditate, or tune in to their spirit, the Holy Spirit. and they would all participate in writing down things that come to their mind. A shirt, red shirt, like a man, age range, or just like they'd end up getting, like Home Depot, or just like just shit, right? Just kind of random shit. So then once they felt like they're done, they'd take the list and just kind of start driving around until they'd find. I mean, obviously Home Depot is specific, but sometimes it wasn't that specific. There'd be like some kind of thing, and then they just kind of drive around and it would totally match, or like, anyway, so then they find people, and they already had a list of things they'd already kind of generated. And like, it turns out that they had in this list, like, they'd come up to this person, they find this person with the description of the clothing in the aisle, and say, hey, we're doing treasure hunting. We believe you're one of God's treasures. And because we began to set intentions, if you will, or pray ahead of time, that we've shown the list or whatever. We met someone here that would red hat, blah, 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 and their leg would have a pain issue. And I mean, sometimes it even go to the point of, because of this trauma, like whatever. And so they'd lay hands on it if they'd allow it. A lot of times people are just blown away and they're totally open. I mean, I've done things like this a lot in the church, like very, very intuitive, like really engaging with people, not just to like give them a pamphlet, to actually engage with them, like to bring some level of like connection and healing, physical healing, or just presence and connection with them. So anyway, they would, pray for them or whatever, and they get healed oftentimes, or definitely get significantly better. Or even if there's not some amazing miraculous healing, it's really that like that much shit was accurate. That's fucking fascinating. Alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you start getting too many like accuracies or coincidences in the same place, and the probability just starts like being real unlikely.
So they would do this all the time on Friday nights, weekends. This is what they get together groups. So it builds belief, right? They're doing it regularly. It continues to happen. It morphs, it changes, it grows. It builds a solid belief system because people come in expecting that shit to happen. Gets more accurate. Get some momentum going on those paradigms because they're real. Let's bring them in.
So Bob's saying here that he used this app all last summer, but because the first or second point led him to a mailbox in the woods that said Destiny on it.
Cool.
How weird is that? Like, was this like when you say it in the woods? Are we talking like along a road in the woods? Because when you said that, like, I am pictured this deep forest that had just a random mailbox for no reason. If that's what it was, that's amazing. Like.
That's
it's
fucking
amazing.
Still, like, either way, that the whatever chose.
Either way, it's amazing. Yeah.
Destiny is like that's incredible, man. That totally like what?
Too weird.
I'm trying to think of a recent situation that like that kind of dynamic where little things like, so I was talking about me and Angela would take detours and stuff or wherever, either intuitively or GPS would send us. And it was one of the times that the GPS totally took us on a nonsensical route, really relooking at all the reasonings. Like, there's no reason it should have taken us here. And, this is the perfect context to tell an insider story. I think. I'm trying to think. Okay, with Angela? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, but like, so we were just talking about numbers. Numbers have been so abundant the whole trip. Insane, right? Lots of 3, 6, 9s, but just 11. I mean, just everything. Like, we'd point out, we'd see it, or in cars or life supply, or just all this shit all the time. So the point is, like, that's kind of how that life is, especially when you're doing these kind of journeys, if you will, when you're just literally not tied to a normal 9 to 5. You're really going with the wind. Like, man, like all the fucking synchronicities are just fucking there. So it's like you get to a point of just that's the way it is every day. There just happens to be synchronicities everywhere. It's normal. And then we were talking about that, and just like, it's ultimately about assuring us we're on the right, for doing the right thing in some level, or there's other reasons. And so kind of like laughing about not, the numbers, or making light of them, how they don't ultimately matter in some ways or whatever. And then we take this weird detour and this weird route, go back like some trailer park area, really super weird. We're on like 100 miles, 200 miles of stretch of highway. There's no reason we should be looping through here. What is happening? We were on the highway. And we just kind of kept going. Okay, I'm going to fucking tell it. She'll deal with it. So she really had to pee, right? So we pulled over. She goes, I'll go right here. And I said, all right. And so like it was fine. She was covered. We're kind of in this like back corner semi-park thing, if you can call that, in a trailer park. I don't know. Maybe not the safest place, but she really had to go. And she wanted to go. So she, she's a grown-ass woman. She wants to go potty. That's fine. All right, So she went, and she gets back in. She's busting up laughing. So I'm laughing. And I was like, "What?" She goes, I blessed him with my stem cells. I was like,
Lord.
Yeah, you did, Ange. It's true. So, anyways,
Okay.
we're getting out of there. We're pulling back on to where like we see the freeway. The GPS is bringing us back onto the freeway we're just on, and going the same direction. And but as we're pulling off, we realized we were on Highway 9.
Mm.
You know, like just as we're disregarding all numbers. So it was really funny. It was just really interesting anecdotal story. Zach.
So Bob says that it was a street turned into a dirt road, and it was a Destiny/Lord mailbox, very overgrown, right at the crossroads. But Willow pictured the same thing, and that made me initially I wondered if maybe we saw it in like the future, right? When like the nature's taking it back, basically.
Yeah.
He was gonna post a picture, but Imgur won't let him. So, well,
Aren't there other upload platform Messenger? Can you send a Messenger? Get it?
Jen says she pictured the same thing. Weird.
Yeah, interesting.
Because that's 3 people in the same place that picture the same thing. That's weird. That's also unlikely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, well, I don't got a lot else going on right now, man.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Let's wait and see.
Nope.
Let me think. I did bring, if you want to shift into this at any point, and maybe we can figure out how the feeling is the prayer and the psychology of this, I guess. So I got this book, though. The ones with the different injuries and the different psychological dynamics related.
Which book is this? Oh, hang on. We need to bring this up to full screen. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. I'm breaking it. I'm bad. Here we go. Oh, you got this thing. Does anybody have an ailment that has been ailing them recently? Because it's ailment time with Aaron.
Wait till I go get a cardigan and some glasses.
Ailment time.
All right, so what can we start with? Unless there's one that pops up. What was I thinking of? That was something earlier. Oh, this one is depression. That just popped up. That could be interesting.
Depression. Let's hear it. I'm suffering with depression right now. Please help me, Aaron.
Go ahead. 2 pages, but okay. Well, let's refer to today's Bible. Basic instructions before understanding everything. Afterwards. All right, so depression. See also neurasthenia. That's interesting. Okay, a nervous depression, commonly called a depression, is a pathological state marked by deep sadness with psychological pain, loss of self-esteem, and psychomotor retardation. A depression takes the form of self-deprecation. Yeah, well, I'd say self-deprecation, but it's self-depreciation and guilt that eat me up inside. Both these elements must be present for there to be a depression. It's kind of long. As soon as I have resolved one of them, whether it is self-depreciation or the guilt, I have come out of the depression. If I am depressive, I feel miserable, less than nothing. I may even feel guilty of who I am. I constantly live in the past and find it difficult to come out of it. The present doesn't exist, and the future scares me. It is impossible for me to live in the here and the now. I prefer to live constantly in the past, always looking rearward. The current news leaves me indifferent. I feel like doing nothing. To avoid being frustrated, especially sexually, I cut myself off from all my desires. I don't feel like taking myself in charge. It is important for me to make a change now in my way of seeing things because it is not like before. A depression is often a decisive stage in my life, adolescence for example, because it forces me to question myself. I want to have a different life at all costs. I am turned upside down between my ideals, my dreams, and reality, what actually goes on, between what I am and what I want to be. It is an inner imbalance, possibly chemical or hormonal, and my individuality is unrecognizable. I feel constricted in my space, and I slowly lose my taste for living, the essence of my existence. I feel useless, miserable, lazy, a burden for others. I tend to be easily resigned, and I feel like abdicating, resigning, giving up. I put great pressure on myself to contain my emotions and bury them deep inside of me. When this pressure becomes too high, depression sets in. Others then forced to suspend some of my responsibilities. This pressure may also come from my parents, my spouse, my boss, or simply society. Excuse me just a sec. The obligation to succeed, to have a good reputation, to project the image of having a successful marriage and family life. All this contributes to increase my stress, to demand more and more of me, to set the bar much too high, and as soon as an event occurs that pops the cork, depression sets in. I feel stuck, helpless, and inferior. In other terms, depression has its source in a situation involving my territory, namely what belongs to my vital space, including persons, my parent, my child, or children, etc., animals, my dog, my fish, etc., or things, my work, my house, my future. The conflict I am experiencing may be linked to an element of my territory that I am afraid of losing, or to a dispute taking place on my territory that bothers me, the classic quarrels between brothers and sisters, for example. Or to something I already lost and about which I blame myself for certain words or acts. Here's some expressions that show how I may be feeling. You smother me. You're sucking out my air. Make yourself scarce. Sometimes I also find it difficult to delimit or mark out my space, my territory, what is exclusively mine and what belongs to others. I am permanently dissatisfied with the situation that often involves a member of my family. Depressive persons are often very receptive to their entourage. I sense everything going on around me, and this increases my sensitivity tenfold, hence my feeling of constriction. And my sense of being invaded by people around me, instead of having a certain detachment, I experience everything from close up, which takes up a lot of my energy to no avail. Even if I fought, I know I would lose. Therefore, I tend not to finish what I have started. I find it very oppressive to always assume that anything I do is never good enough. I may even lean toward self-destruction. I am nostalgic, huddling up inside, submissive, like a dog, to not bother anyone. I have the impression of bearing and dying. Laughing is no longer part of my life. I have allowed others to invade me. I may also have a need for attention to help me discover my own worth, and a depression then becomes an unconscious means to manipulate the people around me. I may expend lots of energy on a project or something that I heartily want to do, but it may not be the best thing for me. My life will therefore make something else happen that may even be better for me, but I am so focused on the thing that I desire that I won't see all the good happening to me. I must develop the habit of taking an overall view of events and see how this may be even better than what I had wished for. Postnatal depression appears a few weeks after childbirth, or even a few months later. I feel discouraged. I'm afraid I won't get there, and I don't know how to get it over with. The baby may have filled a gap temporarily. I am now facing myself, the solitude and emptiness inside of me. As I don't believe in my own possibilities and strengths, I don't see how I am going to make it. All this may be amplified by my own painful childhood or childbirth memories. Whatever the reason for my depression, I check out right now the underlying cause of my depressive state. Did I experience being pressured when I was young? What are the major events I underwent in my childhood that are making my life so insignificant today? What is this drama of my life that is still gnawing at me from the inside? Is it the loss of a loved one, my reason for living, or the direction of my life that I am no longer able to see? Fleeing reality and my responsibilities is futile. Suicide, for example, even if it seems to be the easiest way. It is important for me to see the responsibilities in my life because it will take more than antidepressants to make the depression disappear. I must go to the source and heal the sickness of the soul. By contrast, a down is a depressive disorder, a passive state, a period of despondency, disgust, lassitude, dejection, discouragement. This down is usually of short duration for one or a few days. A down is also called seasonal depression or winter depression. It refers to a depressive state that occurs in the fall and the winter, and at the time of the year, the amount of daylight diminishes due to the shorter days. I feel an immoderate need to eat and sleep, and in addition to having the symptoms of a depression. The increased presence of darkness reminds me of the dark sides of my personality and the conflicted situations where I can't, quote unquote, can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, where no solution seems to exist. I look negatively at everything that happens to me. I feel I'm a helpless victim. I withdraw into myself and cease all communication, even with myself, to avoid being questioned and held responsible for myself. I accept in my heart to stand back and examine my life. I take a detached look at what happens to me, and I accept in my heart to see what lessons I must learn. I focus my attention on my priorities and realize that life has been providing me with many gifts. I allow myself to have a good time, to rest and pull myself together in order to regain my energy and my ideas. I thus regain control over my life and find the energy needed to complete all my projects. I accept in my heart that I am unique. I have all that I need to change my destiny, and I can consciously choose to let the caterpillar transform itself into a butterfly. I can choose between dropping or fighting. I stop resisting and forcing things to go my way. I discipline myself, starting one thing at a time and taking care to finish it. By acting responsibly, I gain more freedom and my efforts are rewarded. I begin to do projects again, to dream and create my life as I want it, in a way that respects who I am. I no longer need others to approve me. I let them lead their lives, and I give myself the right and the necessary space to thrive. I drop the burdens I only bore for the sake of looking good. I am simply myself. By ceasing to put futile pressure on myself, the depression will disappear. Huh. So let's see, Jasmine saying at one point, that's like 9 minutes ago now. But see, my stomach around my rib cage literally throw up sometimes from the pain. And then it goes away, usually after I eat. It's happened 4 times recently. Okay. I will get into that, but I do want to ask first if anyone, Aaron's ailment alignment, that's funny. If anyone resonated with any of that based on depression, if there's things that if you feel like there's something that help you connect some kind of maybe a feeling, just throw the theme tonight too, a feeling inside of you more than just an emotion, or a thought, the thought process about it. I think a lot of times we know what our problems are. It's like we've thought about them a lot or we've tried to figure out them out. They're still there though, or like we're working on it, but we don't, we just don't know what to do. So it's like having other dynamics like this, like a lot of this is through hundreds, if not thousands, I'm not sure, like of actual case studies, like working with people, trying to find the root psychological causes to the ailments in their body and finding these correlations. So, oh, cool. Thanks, Willow. Thank you for reading that. Totally resonate with that. Seeing these additional layers are laid out in certain cadences and frequencies or patterns, if you will, can help us see it in a way we just haven't seen it before. Because really, it's about us healing ourselves. That's why, reading this book and it's how it resonates with you. How does that, as you tune into it, how does it move that energy inside of you in a way that it hasn't before? Help to release, especially in this one specifically, depression, or you specified the nuance of a down state versus seasonal state or something versus long term or more intense depression, but more long lasting depression. And so, yeah, that would be really cool to hear. And then, okay, stomach around my rib cage, stomach. So like, trying to think where the stomach. That'd be stomach around my rib cage. Literally threw up sometime. So just the stomach then. You said right around your rib cage. I mean, so wherever your stomach is, you're saying
I'd check like stomach stuff since it's leading to like throat vomiting and such.
vomiting. Yeah. All right. Cool. Stomach. Okay, stomach storage in general, or stomach storage in general, stomach aerophagy is the fact of involuntarily swallowing a quantity of air that enters the esophagus and the stomach. I didn't know that was what it was called. It is physiological at any age, but when this is a phenomenon is too frequent, it can provide dilation of the esophagus or the stomach. Huh. That's fascinating. All right, it's not what we're looking for, but that was interesting. Okay, cancer of the stomach gastritis, an active or acute chronic inflammation of the stomach's mucus lining where the digestive process begins. If there's an inflammation, there's some irritation and anger about something or someone that I can't digest. I don't understand that certain things do not go as I wish, or that certain persons do not act as I desire. I may feel I have been deceived and I am trapped in a situation or betrayed by the silence of a person. I am irritated by something that was absorbed by my digestive system, and the digested reality disturbs me to the highest point. I feel insecure, and I wonder what is in store for me. I sense that my world could collapse at any moment. I am like a guard dog, constantly on the lookout for danger. I learn to accept in my heart situations and others as they are, knowing that the only power I have is my power over myself. I change my expectations positively. I expect the best from life. I stop worrying, and I soon enjoy each living moment. All right, so I don't know if that was like that one, but that was short enough and seemed to like it might fit. There's a lot. Wait, oh, okay, stomach. Okay, here. Well, this probably applies to most people. Oh, it's a totally different topic. It's stress. I don't know. Is that satiate the stomach one? Because there's other ones I could do based on the stomach, but Zach, thoughts? Or don't say anything and I'll figure it out. Stress.
I mean, this is really kind of like up to Jasmine. Does that resonate with her? Really, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Good question.
So,
Jasmine.
what I was saying that this, I think this was in reference to the depression one, probably, but
Yes,
saying that
yes.
she resonates with that. Jasmine says that actually was pretty spot on.
All right.
So,
Aaron's ailment alignment. Add it
continues
again.
to check out.
All right. So this one's going to apply to everybody. This isn't very long, so well, at least maybe I don't know, whatever. Culture and some shit. Stress. Stress is an adaptive response to an event, a situation, or a danger, real or imaginary. The capacity for adjusting depends on different factors. Any situation that creates a greater demand on my organism leads me to experience stress, which changes into distress if it is experienced to an extremely intense degree. The stress may be psychological, the pressure of my entourage. What do they mean by entourage there? It's a funny word. All right. Physical, a strong demand on my body related to work, sports, heat, cold, etc. Chemical or biochemical, the taking of medications, chemotherapy, hormonal change. Stress in itself, in short, is less important than my reaction to it. It can be quite as positive, stimulating, and creative as it can be threatening for my body. Depending on my reaction to events and to the underlying emotions, the stressful effect will be beneficial or noxious for me. It is important to see that even a happy event can make me experience high stress. Thus, I may win $1 million at a lottery, which can have the effect of making me experience a depression because I feel I now have so many things to change in my life that I am afraid of not being able to do them. Will I keep my job with the people I esteem? Will my friends still be the same with me? Will I have to move? Will I be able to adjust all these changes? I accept in my heart to look inside of me and question my reactions, my motives, and my attitudes rather than put the blame on external situations. I learn to relax and consider the benefits of stress. And thus ends Aaron's ailment alignments for tonight, episode 22. What do you think about that stuff, Zach? That stuff tonight specifically. I know we've talked about the book before, but we're giving that one on stress.
I mean, they all always seem pretty accurate to things that definitely lead to that. I mean, so far I haven't heard anything out of the book that I was like, that seems ridiculous. That's for sure.
Yeah. Just interesting ways of saying similar things. Yeah, but they're like new metaphors, new symbol sets.
And Willow says, I think hearing things that resonate like that make it seem less intense and complicated to put into words. It changes the perspective and make it easier to manage.
Great comment. Totally, for sure. Yeah, right on. I think that's why you and I try to find so many words for that reason, right, Zach? Plus, it's weird me being on the screen by myself.
I can definitely say. Well, I mean, we can go to this other layout, but nevertheless, I think that anybody who likes to try and find words for that, I think it satiates the logical mind to be able to put it into words. When we can put it into words, we feel like we basically have like a linguistic equation that explains our emotions.
Right. So now when you say that, I mean, to me, that's amoral. Yeah, but in other words, it's important to satiate the logic to an extent. It's just we've over-satiated the logic so much, people are scared to satiate the logic as if it's bad. Like, dude, the logic still needs to be satiated so we can be fully function. I mean, even the mystery schools, we weren't even allowed to learn the right brain shit until you had your logic in order.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, neither of them is more important than the other one.
Right. Yeah. The point is, though, yeah, it is valuable, though, because I just feel like sometimes it gets shit on. You know, like being too logical or too masculine, or it's like, okay, I get there's balance, but I'm also a male in a male body, or vice versa. You know, it's like, come on, man. It's like some of us are more androgynous than others. Like I said, the natives believed in 5 types of sexuality, and I know there's more than that. You know, the truly chemically, biochemically, spiritually, if you will, also in a body, there can be pretty true androgynous, man. Pretty close, and a lot of variations in between a true masculine, or whatever, and a feminine, if you will, whatever it means. It's like everything in between.
Let's see.
But the far end of the spectrums are what got on most of the TVs and movies throughout the 50s and the 60s and 70s. Oh, man. The culture we grow up in, bro, it's going to be so different 10, 20, 30 years. Like, it's going to be a distant, crazy-ass fucking memory. And not like our parents, like, crazy-ass distant memory.
Uh-huh.
Just there's gonna be so much new shit that we're just involved in and surrounded in, like doing in the world. The world will be totally different because of what we're creating. I mean, shorter times than that, but I'm just saying, like, jump ahead 30 years in time and look back on this time now, or what we went through, just what we've grown up through in the last 30 years, and almost Hillary Clinton coming in and fucking World War III and all this other shit happening, and like that didn't for a million odd reasons that are interesting, you know, like all this other shit. It's just really interesting. It's cool. We made it, man. We're on the other side of the vortex, like. The world didn't end, and I know there's some shit going on, but this isn't gonna. I don't think any of this stuff's really something for certain realms to worry about. Where that is being handled in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
it's getting the spread it needs, even from the people, the dumb shit truth posters who just like don't know what they're talking about, and they just repost shit because they like, it's not necessarily helpful, but at the same time, it puts into collective awareness, even if it gets shit on and used as like, oh, this is why you don't watch YouTube videos, like, or you don't listen to people, just post this shit, but still, it gets into people's awareness. So they can go fight that battles. They can go get banned on Facebook and shit. I don't care that much. Like, I don't care enough to like be super controversial about the current topic of society right now. I mean, you're building a whole new reality here on this platform. I don't need to go fucking really be an anti-COVID shit on Facebook. I don't care enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't.
Before we get too far away from the logic thing, like this quick video that I have on Instagram, basically, it explains in a certain way like what I think kind of like a function of logic is. And more so also explains like how I think really like a human actually learns shit.
Right on. That's so funny. We did a video, one of my old videos last night. We're doing one of yours on here tonight. It's so cool.
So hopefully the audio is all right with this. I don't know. I've never played anything from Instagram on here.
I'm gonna make you sit on screen by yourself and watch you just like you made me do last night. I'll come on after. No, you're actually coming off camera.
The process of learning, especially with complex topics, can oftentimes be an arduous task that takes a very long time. But always remember, even though we are constantly eager to have completed this, you don't actually know what to do until you fully understand what not to do. As far as I can see it, we have a very functional process that actually allows us to take in our outside experience and then run it through what is effectively a machine, our own body and mind, in order to come up with something that is actually a transcendent format of information that we are able to use in order to actuate our life more effectively. To my mind, the way that this effectively happens is we have the process of intuition, or what you could understand as illogical data. It's simply an experience that you go through or some type of sense that you have. And this information is fed into our auric field or our magnetic field. And once it is in there, we have fundamentally experienced the experience. However, until we have ran that through our mind and basically washed it from one side of our brain to the other, we have not utilized our logic on it. So we have not been able to logically analyze this and compartmentalize it. So the intuition that comes in is effectively data. It's not compartmentalized at all. But once we run it through our logic, we now have information. And from that information, we have the opportunity to choose what is the data, and or in this case, information, that we want to actually keep and what do we not want to keep. And from this, we then generate what we understand to be effectively knowledge. Now, oftentimes people believe that knowledge is the highest format of understanding. This is false. It is not the highest format of understanding. You will always find, once you have learned something, yet you continue to remain on the path of mastery to that thing, once you have the knowledge, you will attempt to go and apply that knowledge. When you attempt to apply that knowledge and you go through the direct experience of trying to use it, you will come across a lot of additional information. Some of it will enhance your knowledge, and others of it will be things that you see that you should not do. The things that you should not do is the transcendent form of basically intelligence. This is when you have taken the intuitive data in, compartmentalized it to information, picked that information and turned it into a logical knowledge, ran it through the process of experience, and now you understand the wisdom of the situation, which will tell you exactly what you should not do. And you will come to find out that if you knew everything that you should not do, you could simply do everything else and you would never go wrong.
So yeah, I think logic is a functional part of the basically human mental experience, but it's really just something that helps us order what is functionally the experience as a certain process of it, right? Like the intuition gets all of the data in, but then the logic turns it to information that we call something that we think we know what to do. You know what I mean? So logic plays an important role, but it's really only like one piece of the entire process is kind of the concept.
Well, it's just it interprets the data in a lot of sense to a sensical, to a usable reality, a functional framework or symbol set or some kind. I mean, if all logic is symbol sets in a sense, that makes you're converting ineffable, if you will, right brain massive data. I mean, at the same time, it's micro data. It's not necessarily ineffable, but it's like massive overwhelm of data and context down to relevant realities in your present awareness now that have to come down through some kind of logical symbol set construct to then be mattered to see a synchronicity and not to go fucking sell all your fucking shit because the world's going to end because you put way too much value on that synchronicity because you process that incorrectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even at an earlier level than that, like your experience of sight is functionally a logical process. Like your being got a bunch of energy that came into it or flowed through it or however you want to experience that. Your logical mind parses it into shapes and words and smells and do and does all of this separation. Before you ever would call any of that, you just functionally call it illogical data that is your experience, but you're taking in all this data. And if like right now you just like look off into the distance, you don't think about anything, there's all kinds of data that you're being bombarded with, but you're not really making any information out of it because you've gotten your logical mind out of the way. But getting your intuitive mind out of the way, you functionally have to be not existing in order to do that. Like not having any kind of intuition is to functionally not be alive. So, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, totally. I mean, otherwise, like, I mean, so like it's interesting too, because like understanding or looking at I'll put it this way, looking at the framework of autism through beings who are, you know, this physiological vessel massively overloaded by information, massively overstimulated. So that's why they do their self-stims and things to try to really bring some kind of focus in. That's why Adderall Ritalin can really help in different ways. But even then, the brain is still very wired, very, very, very logically. A lot of times, I think maybe as a psychological reaction to process the insane amount of information. It's just too overwhelming. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, in a certain way, you could say that like anxiety is just like a misuse of the logic in the sense that it's like it's parsing all of this data that's out there as a possibility or is actually going on right now, but it's just not parsing it in an effective manner. So it's spending like too much time gathering data logically and not enough time analyzing and separating what is actually necessary and what is just shit that I'm taking in. And it just overwhelms the shit out of your mind. And that's a dangerous position, really. You have the standard reaction to being in a dangerous position, really, which is panic, anxiety. Like we call it anxiety, but it's panic. It's fear.
Yeah. And what do you
Maya,
do
good
when you're
night.
afraid?
Thank you for being here.
Good night, Maya.
Yeah, this fight or flight response that gets triggered anytime you're doing the fear thing at all.
Right.
So, and really, honestly, at the end of the day, neither of those are good options.
Right.
So, and
I
oftentimes
guess-
people will do even a worse format of flight that oftentimes is called the third format of this is freeze. I don't think it's actually that. I think it's actually it's flighty, but it's flying so fast with its consciousness that it doesn't even really like bring its body with it. So they're just like, oh, and they're just like basically stuck functionally. So I pretty much consider that to be a freeze or like a flight response. But there's another way that you could also say that internally it's kind of a fight response because they're fighting with themselves over like, should I be here or should I get out of here? And they're caught in that battle of not being able to decide what to do. And this is functioning that like analysis paralysis position.
Yep.
And
So
that's a rough one.
Well, so that was my my ex-wife. That was her thing. I mean, part of it was semi-autism. You know, there's Asperger's. Actually, she was diagnosed Asperger's at one point. Careful, I guess what I say, or semi-diagnosed, but that wasn't even necessarily would say official. But like, and so there's the dynamics there, and it was in her lineage or whatever. But like the fear of not being able to just buy towels or like being able to redecorate a room or like just this paralyzing amounts of data or trying to figure out her own ailments, yet not giving enough credence to the psychosomatic reactions and the connections there. And like anytime we'd actually plan to do something, anytime we actually go that day, she's sick that day. And I'm like trying to, it's like every single time, like vomiting, retching, or like really like, flu sick. I'm like, once I started to make the correlations, and it's like, how do you gently suggest that when like that's not what she believes? And it's like, okay. I don't know. So that I just, be present with her, and I just had to let go of being angry or upset that and the dynamic that I was in, dealing with my own stuff, like letting go of being upset and semi knowing that she's probably going to create that reality for herself. There's only so much I can do. And so I kind of prepared myself that we probably may not actually be able to go through with certain things we do. And I was okay with that. And I'd be present with her and give me a chance to take care of her and connect with her. It's fine. It's fine. It got to a place where it was really beautiful and fine. And I didn't feel like I was missing out now. I mean, like, there's no way I could be in that situation now. That I learned all the things I need to learn from that. I will never be in another relationship that, isn't mutually satiating and beneficial for both of our growth and both of us being able to always be open to our own life paths, wherever that leads, So, anyhow, yeah, a lot of lessons learned. It's really good shit. And let's see what people say in the comments. Seemed like they were. They seem to like where they live. I haven't been able to visit them, but I hope a peaceful place. Okay, I mean that's part of a conversation that I jumped in late. So Maya's on her way out, and my touchscreen is kind of finicky. Dude. Sorry, it's sorry. My whole thing is like super weirdly reactive right now. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay, and it like minimized my whole screen and shit. Okay. All right. Cool. It's interesting. Okay, so in practical dynamics,
I think go ahead.
I was like, well, practical aspects of dynamic. First of all, was that just all one flow stream of consciousness, or was that edited?
It's all just one.
Cool, man. Yeah, so like that's like super well done. And then what I looked up at one point because I was listening. I was really listening to what you're saying and saw the imagery and saw the way you were doing it. And like being outdoors is great. Obviously, where you live, that's perfect in that setting. Just the earbuds and the audio is great. The camera angle, all that stuff is great. The way you're trying to communicate in a short message, a distilled message in a short amount of time. Like all those dynamics. But then what was the thing that your little ISN symbol that came across your mouth? What was the correlation there?
It's literally just an audio branding that's in my meme layout.
But like, yeah, what was the meme there? I missed that. I guess I missed the connection of when that came in and what the relevance was.
It's not even any meme. It separates between what is like a punchy portion of the video and then the whole of the video. And it's the entire point is literally just for it's literally just branding.
A cue. Yeah, our cue
And
for the
it's
next
not
part of the
really
video.
it's not really a cue, no. Like the pause in between it causes the person's consciousness to stop what it's doing, open up a liminal space, then they hear a sound that is associated with my logo coming on the screen in front of my face, and it sets it in 3 different layers inside of their subconscious.
Yeah.
And it pulls it from left brain to right brain, and then leaves it over there in the illogical space.
As I've said, all the beliefs at the door, so now they pick them back up at the end of the video. Beautiful. Love that shit, man. Well said. Thank you for sharing that. It's, and then also the outro. The outro deal. What'd you say at the end there? Like, come play a game again or something? Like, it was like
the end of those memes all had like just a flash screen that was like life's a game, let's play, or something like that.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah, I see what you're doing there. You did well. That's great. That's really well for what you're doing. I think it was awesome. Really well done.
Yeah, there's quite another number of them on Instagram. If anybody wants to go and look at them, I don't know. There's like 30 or something. I used to do them. Well, I did them every day for a little period of time, and then I stopped.
Now we're doing this every day for like instead of like 2 3-minute clips, we're doing fucking 3-hour shows.
Yeah, there's actually more of them on there than I thought there was. I don't know. Maybe I guess maybe that's like 30 or something. Anyways, yeah, they're pretty good. Yep. Things got better about them as they went. That was one of the earlier ones that I guess about halfway through. Yeah, anyway, a lot of doing those memes, like I was super uncomfortable with filming videos of myself when I started doing those. And this was like this process of just like forcing myself to do videos almost every single day to just fucking get over it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, it's funny because it's like, I mean, I think back on it now. I mean, it feels like a long time because we do so much every day. But like, really, I mean, look back the last 4 to 6 episodes, we were decently kind of stiff. I mean, if we want to call it that, I think maybe relative to ourselves, right? Like just, I don't know, a little more, just trying to figure out what the framework's supposed to be, or maybe me more so than you in that dynamic. I think you have more of a embodied a vision for what the show would be. And then it feels like, but either way, our dialogue and our interactions over time too, just the different flow of it's much more relaxed and getting the groove of the show. It's just interesting to see the change in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, at this point in time, the whole thing's like hyper organic for me. Like I don't really put like any thought into like what's gonna happen or anything. I just like bring the stream on at 7:30 and then start at 8 and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So
and then, I mean, with the exception of like, but that's still organic. Like talking to people or connecting with people to come on or setting things up, and it's all happening organically. But yeah, there's not a lot of like super planning that goes into everything. Like it's great that we can do the fractals and stuff in the background all the time and. It's awesome, man. The whole overlay, I think it's great. We'll be able to rock this for a while.
Yeah, rock what?
Just the format, the multimedia format, StreamYard, just said whatever for a while. I mean, this has worked out really, really well.
It's funny that you actually bring that up. Like, I'm really considering because XLR interface is going to be here, and then Angela wants a video for her background, which StreamYard can do. But the way that her video is set up has her logo in the middle of it, and if we use StreamYard screen sizes, they're going to block the logo. And it's like I already want to switch to OBS for other reasons, anyways. And when the XLR, when all my stuff is here, which is probably tomorrow.
The only bummer or concern with that is that is it going to be this easy? Because it's pretty clean so far. Getting most guests on backstage, bringing them on, their audio, video, like whatever the setup they have for logging them in and checking all that shit works real clean.
Yeah, I mean, like we can just have them call into a Zoom call.
Okay.
And then they have everything right there on Zoom, and I just literally like crop out their space and can put them anywhere on the screen at any size. And so, I mean, we can even have it where like when the guest is on, we're like bottom left, bottom right as smaller things, and the guest is like a bigger screen up here with like branding and stuff over here.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Way better. Yeah,
and
way
then like
better.
when we did even the screen share at that point in time, then I could like pull these two cameras off down to the corner with their bigger camera up here, the branding up off this way, and then the screen share sitting in the back of it. So all our
Yeah.
stuff is actually overlaying like the corners of it and shit. Like there's so much more that I can do with OBS. I just have to set up all the
Cool.
shit for it.
All right. Yeah. So sometime next few weeks, then you think next month or what?
Like the next week.
No shit. All right. Cool, man. Well, whatever. We'll get in that groove then. That's fine.
When actually, I guess the easiest question is when do you pay monthly for StreamYard?
Yeah.
When's the next monthly payment?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's like $20. I'm not really worried about it. I can cancel any
Well,
month.
I would
so.
rather get it done before than you send me the $20 than you pay it to fucking StreamYard that we're not going to use. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's true. And I can do that digitally. I'm like, well, saying $20 bill. Oh yeah, I can digitally. That's how that works now.
So, because I could just get it done before then, you know what I mean? Like our overlays are
Yeah.
easy as fuck to port if we just keep doing
Yeah.
the same thing, and then I just like all I do is I fill in the spot where I am and the spot where you are with camera crops from a part of my screen, and then this
Right.
screen is it's pretty simple. So
Yeah, no, I mean, really, whenever you're motivated to do it, I mean, if you just jump on and start doing it, whenever it's ready to go, then we'll make sure it works for a couple nights. Then I'll cancel StreamYard or whatever. Like, that's fine.
yeah, but let me know
roll on it.
when the monthly payment rolls over so I can just get it done before then.
What to add to your, but no, but if you're gonna do it, just do it. What I'm saying, like, try to look
I
it
am
up.
just
Like,
gonna
get
do
done.
it, but I'm gonna make sure that I get it done beforehand.
Okay. Yeah, it gives you extra
So,
motivation to get done sooner. All right. Fine.
exactly.
I'm making a note. I'll look that up.
Yeah, you don't need to do it right now.
Yeah.
So it is 11:11. I'm gonna go because I'm gonna try and talk Jen into going and getting some food with me before they close at midnight. So
Nice.
I am going to be done for tonight. I don't know.
How do we have 12 people in here? We have like maybe 4 or 5 active in chat. We have like 12 people that are listening to us ramble on the last little while, so that's kind of cool.
Anybody who's watching this or listening to it, please like, subscribe to the video. I love you very much. I'm trying to build a community of love that will actually create possible potential for there to actually be a good culture left on this planet for when, future moves forward. And I'd really like your help in that because it's a bit of a yikes right now. And we're really going to do it. I mean, like, it's happening regardless of whether you help or not, because, like, realistically, I already have a group of people that I'm doing this with regardless. So, like, at the end of the day, we really want to have other people who also, like, they care. And whether you want to be a remote community member, a more local community member, there's all kinds of these things. But I love all of you. And we really want to make the world a better place. So, like, let's do this shit.
And for everyone listening, not involved in the chat too, we also have the different links in the description for ISN and for the community, helping the community GoFundMe, and for doing Patreon for the Native Tribes South America that Zach and Jen personally know and have been down there, one of the last few indigenous tribes, and that's always an ongoing thing that we're helping. The money goes directly to that donation account, directly to them. So from us to them. So we're getting it 100% to them, they're getting all the money, getting all the help. And that's never an ongoing thing that we also very much care about and we'll continue talking about because we're doing things like that and creating space on here and other channels for other spaces or shows for other people, Angela and Frank, and who knows, a bunch of other people might be doing shows
Angela,
here.
Frank, probably one with Louie. There's a weekly like yoga class that once I get OBS set up, then I'm going to be running that on the live stream every Sunday.
Cool.
I might even just start leading some yoga myself as well. Guided meditations that as soon as, my mic and stuff is here right now,
cool.
But I need other interfaces and stuff so that I can have good vocal recordings for guided meditations, stuff like that. All this stuff will be free to the community. We'll do it here on the channel. Brittany, thank you for being here. Most people that are here, they're here every night. You're new. We would like you to come back every night. We have a wonderful community here. All the people that are in chat are great. Like, you're great. If you found your way here, you're great. I love all of you. I'm going to try and get some food before it closes. Like, subscribe, stuff in the description down there. Help everything out. Love you. Aaron, are you staying on doing this, or are you peacing out?
No, I'm going, but why don't you go get your food and I'll do my little wrap and just end it here in a second.
Okay, love you. Add Zach Mortimer on Instagram. That's where I am if you want to find me easily. You can message me on there or whatever. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, bye.
Okay, cool. So Yeah, everything Zach said, everything we said. We love you guys. We love the live thing. We know, like in the future, right? People listen to this. It's cool to know, like, people in live chat. And there's people listening that just like kicking back, listening, and we're doing whatever they're doing, and that's pretty cool. Still, something I've talked about several times because it hasn't sunk in with me yet. That's just kind of cool. That's a reality. That's a thing right now. Imagine if it was like bigger. It's just weird. It's interesting to think about. It's maybe like a radio, people doing radio, but they had to constantly, they show who was tuning in live, and I guess radio is different. People are, whatever. Anyway, interesting shit, man. So, yeah, just like Zach said, we love you guys very, very much. We love all of you in the future who are listening to this. We love all of you listening right now, all of you in the chat, all of us, all of you that aren't present here, and really everyone in the world. Man, just want to create a space and be far enough beyond that me and Zach are really moving hard and believing hard along the timelines that we're, 5 episodes in the future above of what they can even keep up with. And that's what we're doing. That's the reality that we're creating in this space, in this place. And to out-create the destruction that may be going on around us and the agendas and all that other shit. Participate in that as you wish. I'm doing it the ways I want to. In the meantime, we're creating something here. Out-create faster than they can destroy. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going towards. It's that's just the reality we're living and operating in. And I think that's what the reality Zach and I have just lived in. Oh, Brittany's asking me how often. Brittany, every night. This is episode 22. We literally do this every single night at 8 p.m. Pacific, about 8 p.m. We started like 7:30, 7:45 or so with instrumentals and some meditations and stuff. We're going to be coming soon. Zach's going to be actually putting some together very shortly. And yeah, so it's every night right now. So yeah, we just want to create a coherent community, and whoever we attract based primarily, I guess, on Zach and I's interests and our personalities. And I think I've been flicking this a million times. And then whoever we attract in the group and listeners, like, great, man, cool, create a bubble of reality. That's cool, man, fucking awesome. I love just being able and also spreading it and just letting it shine. Like having Frank on the other night, fucking great, man. It's always great when Frank's on. He's such, like I said it last night, I made the title of the show, like Frank, the oral historian Frank Castle. Like, he really is, man. He carries the story of his experience in this generation interdimensionally as an interdimensional storyteller, shaman, Jesus, Buddha, a lot of different people, trying to convey these messages of interdimensional dynamics and realities into their own vessel and into those around them, because the feeling is the prayer. Right? So when you heal yourself, you heal the world. Then your feelings for others are really fucking powerful. They always are. But when you know, and you can choose to embody positive, but very nuanced feelings and visualizations for others, especially for our own highest good and happiness, wholeness, coherence, authenticity, the desires of their own life and their heart, has nothing to do with you. No strings attached, genuine, like no strings attached, compassion and love and care and honor. So that, to me, I guess, is the goal of my life, to embody those things all the time in their own ways in any sort of situation, no matter how intense or hard or surprising or whatever. Like, okay, how to be present with all these emotions, to find balance and coherence. It's not let them dictate me into anxiety or depression, or like, how do I process them? Who do I need to talk to help me process, or what place do I need to go internally to meditate, or to, music, or whatever things that we know we need that help us to get still, or to learn and process with those things in our own life. Essential oils and salt baths and all sorts of things are like, they're no joke, man. They can be all luxury and like whatever, but no, man, it's just no joke, man. Sometimes that stuff is a lifesaver. Getting out near just water in general, body of water, and getting your feet in it, or your feet on the ground. I mean, it helps more than you realize. A bag of salt, really, a bag of Himalayan salt. You can put some sage, some silver, or other things in there alchemically, whatever you want. But really, the salt even does a huge thing to neutralize on the back of your neck, cerebral spinal fluid. It neutralizes a lot of the chaotic EMF inside of there. And I've done that. Well, the first time I did it, my whole cerebral spinal fluid in my nervous system. Now that I understand it more this way, but I felt this just whoosh of warmth and calmness through my whole nervous system. So it's little shit like that, that can make a big difference to help us find our feelings, if you will, based on what was all shown and discussed tonight. and not just allow the pains or the traumas or the thought loops or the emotion loops, state loops, allow them to all spiral in and out of the heart some way. So I don't know, on that conjecture that I just made or thought, I guess I will say good evening or good morning to some of you maybe. And good night. It's actually it's still PM for me. Last night I think we were on until like 2 or something. We're on a long time. Let's see if there's any other comments here real quick. My phone doesn't do anything anyway. Oh, my thing's being weirdly reactive again. Bet you it's downloading updates or something. Fucking Microsoft. I'm on a hotspot here. Come on. All right, let's see. Oh, I really enjoyed this. Yes, that's I said already. Show that one because that's awesome. So there's something happening. It's awesome here. It's gonna fold so many beautiful people. And then and then Jasmine asked, have you ever tried magnet therapy? I have. I've done a lot of things with magnets, really, on like all parts of my body, in different like South Polar and North Polar, and different shape magnets and different strength magnets. I've got some very, very strong magnets, and they're not the ones that normally on my counter. Those are strong too. They're big iron magnets, more of the traditional ones. But I've got some really heavy duty neodymium magnets, and I've tried magnet therapy. All right, so I'll and I do try and I play with. It's not just try. Like, that is a very real healing modality and very interesting energy work modality for my life. Okay. On that, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you might find yourself. Love you guys very much. Love this community. Love what we're building. Can't wait to see y'all in less than 24 hours and go from there. Night.